You are now listening to The Sports Table.
This is gonna be fun, man. That swag is back, baby.
Yeah. It's on the wrong.
Swag is back.
What team
It's
are
in
you
the
from?
wrong
The
area. Same university.
What
same
team?
university.
That doesn't mean anything.
With Chris,
Would you have sex with that deer?
Dio Carlos,
Who is Ed Block? I'm a Dolphin fan. Been one since 71. Don't know Ed Block.
Alan,
Combination of choke and suffocation via teat.
and Dio George. Because here, nothing is off the table.
I can't say swag is back.
Swag is back.
No, swag is back when football does.
Swag is back.
Swag is back my ass. Money.
Tu madre.
It's pretty hot. Welcome to another episode of the Sports Table. This music seems like it just keeps on going.
Yeah. One of those super long house songs.
There he's singing now.
There it is.
Is that considered singing?
It sounds like Satan on acid.
Anyway, I'm Chris, the host of the Sports Table. It's been a long time. I hate when I say that, but it has through to extracurricular activities. We weren't able to get with you last week, but we are here finally. I'm joined again by the normal crew of Theo Carlos, Theo George, and Alan.
Yeah.
Yo.
And George was in charge of music this week. Jorge, you want to explain what this is, or?
This is I just want to listen to Cuban music, so that's what I put on.
All right. This is Ministry. The song is called NWO. What does NWO mean, by the way?
New World Order.
All right.
I'm impressed. Yeah.
I thought it meant something else. In the rap world, it means something else.
What does it mean?
I don't use that kind of language.
You mean NWA?
NWA.
And NWO too.
I'm trying to think what the O would be for that one.
Yeah, no.
Oranges?
No, because then I would connotate something else, which you're trying to imply, which is not a good thing.
Well, you're the one that brought it up. Anyway, welcome back to the Sports Table. Gentlemen, it's been too long, and last week, just in the sports realm, in the United States history books, last week was a big one. Last week was a very big week, and it started off, we were supposed to be on the show last Tuesday. Unfortunately, we weren't able to be on the show. But the day prior, a week ago yesterday, there was a terrorist attack in Boston. Now, it was important. I wanted the show to happen on Tuesday because it was just happening. I was going to get reporters outside. There was still a lot of information that we were all learning so we could learn it together. But a week has passed. We caught the guys. One of them's dead. One of them is
About to die.
Actually upgraded to fair condition about an hour ago.
And so the information's out, but just in regards to what happened in Boston alone, before we get into any sports, we're going to have Jesse Agler on from the Finsiders later on in the show. We can talk the draft and the Dolphins' new uniforms that were leaked today and the stadium, which is always a fan favorite. But just to start off with Boston, it was a terrorist attack, We all remember where we were on 9/11. I was in 7th grade.
It was 9th? No, 10th grade. 10th grade. My cousin had just come into the school.
Yeah. It was just one of those moments.
I was at home feeding Alexandra, who was in her little chair in front of the TV.
Yeah.
I was at home too.
So, yeah, we all knew where we were when that happened. And we all remember the following moments that happened after that. And it just sticks with you. And Boston, for me, was the same way. I mean, I was at FIU, just got out of class. I get a call from my girlfriend saying that there was a bombing attack in Boston. Now, my first reaction was, let me call my friend. I have a good buddy of mine that lives up there in Boston. And he had just found out 5 minutes prior to me calling him through one of the ladies in the restaurant that they were sitting out in the Boston area. And it was just the day unfolding. You would see people. I would sit in the library, or not in the library, in sort of like it was like a rec center where people just watch TV and study and everything. And mouths were open and people were shaking their heads. I mean, it was a big moment. It is a big moment. I mean, your guys' first initial reactions when you heard it was what?
Damn, it's happening again. Yeah, I was as much taken aback as I was with the initial attacks in 2001. You know, to see, and then as you said, as it unfolds and as the days wore on, you could see that it's something that's so easy. It can happen anywhere at any point in time in any one of the events that we really go to, especially outdoor events. And that's the scary thing, you know, how it unfolds and the number of individuals that were involved and how simple a process it was. And it's just two guys from a neighborhood, man. It's not doesn't look like it's anybody from a deep terror cell, you know, embedded here with Al Qaeda ties or anything like that. It just seems too basically homegrown, because those guys are Americans. I mean, whether they were born here or not, they've been here for 10 years. They're Americans. And to do that, one was actually an American citizen, the other one was in the process of becoming an American citizen. So that's pretty tough pill to swallow when it's a Timothy McVeigh type of attack.
I was on the way home and I caught the back end of it on a radio show. I think it was a sports radio show. So I only knew something happened. I had to get from the south to where I live by FIU, and I couldn't figure out anything until I got home to watch it, and then I was just completely confused. They were saying C4. It's not C4. It is C what this. It's C something else. And you just kept hearing the story change, and for a couple of days I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, for me, it was the same reaction I had when 9/11 happened. I was like, fuck. And then I always go back to these people are nuts. I've been in the Middle East, and they were not, they were not like Carlos was saying. It was not Al Qaeda or, anything like that. But it's sad. I mean, that could have been anybody.
Right. And the thing is, people want to sort of compare it to 9/11 or,
No.
anything else. I mean, the population that was affected was a lot smaller because now only 3 people passed away, thank God. And there were a lot of injuries, but they weren't life-threatening.
Correct.
Even though people lost limbs, which is terrible enough. But that happens on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, it scared me that we didn't know what was going on. I heard reports of police going to people leaving the Boston airport, asking them if they had any pictures to help in the investigation. And for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, if they're doing that, they can't find anybody. But, it amazes me how powerful, I'm missing a word, just the reach and how quickly in a week, they found them.
Well, yeah, not only did they find them, they analyzed so much video, cell phone video and pictures that individuals took that it gave them an opportunity. There were a couple of cameras or security surveillance cameras available from stores, but the majority, from my understanding, the majority of what happened and the majority of the breakthroughs came from individual cell cameras. That there were just so many pictures and video available from all different angles that it made it easy to, well, easy is a relative term, but like you said, you wouldn't expect within 5 days for them to post pictures of the guys that they believe did it, right, and how clearly those pictures were. Yeah. And it is truly amazing.
Yeah, so, I mean, they found them out, and then they posted up the pictures on Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was Thursday. And Friday, all hell breaks loose. Friday morning. Now, someone has to clarify because I'm still a little bit shaky on the details. Friday morning, they were at a 7-Eleven. They robbed the 7-Eleven.
They
Right.
robbed it.
Right.
They stole the car. They hijacked the car from the old guy at the 7-Eleven. And actually, he went into the store and he paid for an energy drink or something. One of the guys did.
Right.
Came out, hijacked the car, told the guy that they were the bombers and they were on their way and they had more bombs and they were going to continue the attacks. So I think what's going to happen, it's going to probably be made much more public because I've heard it on a couple of stations already that they were planning to continue this spree. There was no exit plan. They were going to stay in town, whether it was through Boston and the New York area, but they were going to stay in town and continue these attacks as long as they could.
Wow. And so they robbed the guy in the 7-Eleven. They go to the MIT campus.
Mhm.
No, they didn't rob him. They actually hijacked.
Hijacked him. Yeah.
his
They
car.
kidnapped him. He
Right.
jumped out of the car.
No, they let him go,
They
Oh,
let
they
him go.
did?
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
told him who they were and they let him go.
which is
Let 'em go.
insane. You know, if you being chased and you bomb somebody, I would never think if you hijack somebody to let them go alive. But I think their kids were nuts. To be honest with you, I think they're freaking nuts.
Boy, I mean, blowing up a marathon is insanity.
Well, but the fact that these guys don't do that. They're not going to let somebody walk after they get hijacked.
Yeah,
They
I
should have
guess-
killed them.
I agree. I think
They
that-
identify. They're going to be identified. It's not normal. They usually just kill them.
Right.
So who knows?
So they killed the MIT cop,
Yeah, supposedly
the
they
shootout.
ambushed him, killed him.
and then they go and they speed off. They're being chased by the police. They have the the crossfire. They get out of the car. The older brother shoots, dies.
It's
They shoot
riddled.
him. The younger brother, the one that was missing for the next day, ran him over
Yeah, backs up. So allegedly backs up
Yep.
right over him and takes off.
and takes off. Okay, these are the issues that again are a little bit sketchy. The kid breaks through a police line. He busted the car through the police line that was there. The cars
Yeah,
that were
they
parallel.
wedge him like that.
Yeah. He breaks through that. He ditches the car and runs on foot. The rest of the day, it's a manhunt for this 19-year-old kid. They end up finding him in a boat in the back of some guy's house that the owner saw blood and, the kid was there. They finally get to him. They arrest him. He had surgery, and now he's in the hospital on the highest protection the government can give a person.
Yeah, he actually. My understanding is that he tried to kill himself.
Right.
He put the gun in his mouth and he shot.
That's why his throat was all messed up.
That's
Yeah.
why his throat. But as one of your colleagues here, Rick Sanchez, put it, he's such a loser. He couldn't even kill himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he pointed the gun the wrong direction, down, and it went down
Yeah.
the back of his throat.
So, a couple aspects of this that really are interesting, to analyze it. The fact that the kid's 19 years old, does that sort of, hamper the hate that you have towards him, or not at all? Because you see the people that are reporting on him, the Brian Williams, you see the cops, the governor of Massachusetts. All these guys are grown men. And this one kid, he's a kid, 19 years old. 19 years old 5 years ago for me.
Mm-hmm.
We all remember when we were 19 years old.
Barely.
Does that sort of, do you look at it differently as
Young
opposed
and
to
stupid. Are you saying young and stupid?
No. If the guy was 30 years old, it's easier to hate him than it is if the kid's 19 years old.
Nah,
is what I'm saying.
It's not making a difference to me.
Yeah,
Right.
My feeling of animosity and disdain for him is the same.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to die. I did not.
I don't
want
think
him to
anybody
die.
did.
I wanted him to live. I wanted him to get captured. I wanted him to have to answer questions and have to live through this and face what he's done. And if inevitably they execute him, well, that's fine. He's being executed on our timetable, as far as the public goes or the judicial system.
I mean, Alan, do you?
I mean, I feel more hatred toward the older brother because it seems like he's the one that was pulling the strings and bringing the 19-year-old in the direction that they went.
Right.
But it was his trip to Russia that changed everything. But that doesn't change that I hate the 19-year-old. It's just a different thing to look at when you look at the whole tapestry of everything. So it doesn't affect my hate. It just adds layers to the whole story.
For me, it's sort of, I couldn't hate the kid as much if the guy was, Osama bin Laden, that this guy's 40 years old, 50 years old, that he's already had his whole life, and he made these terrible acts. This kid's 19 years old now, mind you. I'm not excusing it. The kid deserves whatever he gets. He's a monster for, putting bombs in a public area and blowing it up. But it did sort of, it's like, man, this kid had to be 19 years old. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's a tragedy in both aspects because the kid's, he's so young and look what he's doing.
I would have more of an issue or feel more the way you do if it was like, some of the stories where we read, an 11-year-old suicide bomber, 12-year-old suicide bomber, 15-year-old suicide bomber, 9-year-old.
Right.
They even have 8-year-old suicide bombers. These kids don't know what they're doing. They're being told this is a secret weapon. This is a secret vest that's got information on it. Go over there and wait by that thing, and then they detonate them. I would feel bad then because the kid's innocent. A 19-year-old's not innocent. You and I both know, especially in today's world, he knew very well what he was doing.
That's true.
He knew what terrorism was. He knew what kind of terror he was going to impart on the community.
Right, I'm sure
and how he was going to paralyze Boston. He knew that.
He knew when he made the bomb. I'm sure he knew the end results.
Somebody was going to die.
And the end results of what he was making, meaning how much damage, because the bomb he made was made for, it's meant for people. It's not meant to level a building. It's meant for people. It's got nails, got ball bearings in it. That's what it's got.
Right. It was meant to hurt someone.
To hurt people.
He also had more in his dorm room.
Backpack, yeah.
No, and in his dorm he had more balls and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they have some during the car chase too?
They were throwing it out,
chucking them out, and then they were opening up too early, so they never went off.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just it's one of those moments, when you look back and you just see, oh my God, it's hard to understand insanity because that's what it is. To put a bomb in the middle of an open area to harm people, it's out of the realm of my concept of how a thought process is able to execute.
Yeah, that's true, but I think it's almost a cop out to give them that out, the insanity out. They're just some damn mean people, some bad people.
Yeah.
There are just some bad people that want to inflict. If it's not their way, if they're struggling in society, if they're not able to cope with society, then you know what? Let me hurt those that are. And I don't think that there are that many crazy people in the Middle East that are detonating themselves, or they've been indoctrinated into a certain way of thinking. And they hate the West. They hate the freedoms that we have and the things that we hold dear. Which I don't disagree that not all the time, our priorities are in order.
Right.
But it's our choice to make those priorities. They can worship Allah and love their huts and love their dirt floors. I want porcelain on my floor and I want to have a clean house and I want to worship whatever I want.
Right.
It's my choice. So yeah, that's where I would draw that distinction from. I think giving them that out, gives them too much of a cop out.
Well, I'm not saying that it's like if he was in the court of law, like the guy from Colorado, the shootings in the theater, that he's pleading insanity so he doesn't go to jail. I'm saying the man is literally
clinically. You mean?
Yeah, like there's a chemical imbalance in his, and there has to be. I mean, it's hard to understand what the thought process is of even if I hate the Jets with all my heart, but I'm not gonna blow up a bus with the Jets fan bus.
And that's key. It's not. It's hate. It's just total and absolute hate.
Right.
Why they do this?
Can you draw the distinction between hate and crazy? Or bad, mean, and crazy? Isn't there a line there? Can't you be a mean person and not be crazy, or
right.
a bad person and not be crazy? I definitely think you can.
Yeah, look at Loria. That guy's a bad man, but I don't think
he's a bad man. We're comparing him to the Boston bomber.
I guess his terrorist attack was moving the whole team. So
many a serial killer have been. Ted Bundy was considered one of the brightest people.
Yeah, but
around.
Them guys are crazy.
They have, those guys.
I mean,
that's a perfect example of someone that's crazy, and is also mean and sadistic.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that these guys are crazy. I mean, I don't think that all these terrorists or terrorist cells are run or executed by crazy people.
I don't think
fanatical. Yes.
Yeah.
Fanatical.
I think
Yes.
maybe in my opinion, the Middle East guys, the nuts from the Middle East that
Radicals.
the radicals that put bombs and 9/11 and all that. I think them guys are sane. They
agree.
just believe in it, and they do, whether it's right or wrong. They believe in what they're doing. I think these kids, and not only the kids from Boston, but the all the killings been going on in high schools and elementaries and all these people. I don't think they are totally right in the head. I mean, I don't think they are normal. I don't think a normal people could do. I don't think a normal person can do that. I really don't. What degree of nuts, of a psychopath? That's another, something else. But I don't think they're normal people. I don't think a normal person could do that. I just can't.
You can't, or you don't want to.
No, I just can't. I cannot imagine.
Your mind-
It's hard. No, I'm with George. It's hard. It's out of the realm of like normal consciousness to think like to have.
Yeah,
that as a
somebody
thought
can do that.
process. Yeah.
But isn't that more a matter of how we've been bred in our views compared to them? Because I would tell you that the two bombers aren't necessarily sociopaths. They're just so far in their unusual beliefs because they were fine when they were here. When the older one was going to be a boxer, he wanted to box for the USA. He didn't hate yet. He leaves to Russia and comes back just full of hate, saying that we demonize the terrorists.
Right.
So that's an induction. That's a change in perspective that isn't a mental instability. The guys who shot up the school, that guy, if all the things that led up to him going to the school show mental instability.
Yeah.
And a sociopath. Like that's both.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything. But these guys are just, they're bred the same way you go, and we laugh about it, but there's areas in the South that are still racist as all hell.
Miami.
That's a bred. Oh, the old Cuban who just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out with a negra. No, ningún negra. You're like, why?
Right.
Because why? And it's a thing that becomes a standard, and you don't fight against it, which is your responsibility.
Right.
But
Listen, I'll agree and I'll disagree. There are crazy people. There are also some mean people and bad people.
Yeah.
What happened in Chechnya a few years ago when the
the
Chechen rebels, took over the theater, when they took over the school
Yeah.
also. I mean, 216 kids and 30 some odd teachers were shot and executed in a school by 30 some odd or 40 rebels.
Right.
That is not, I'm crazy. That is, we have a fundamental difference
that's
with
purpose.
this
Well,
government.
it's evil, isn't
And
it?
we're evil. We're evil. We have a fundamental difference with this government. We're going to prove our point, and this is how we're going to prove that we are going to take over.
Right.
That's just mean. That's just bad, evil.
Yeah. There's
It might be
different-
splitting hairs. It very well might be splitting
Yeah.
hair. And the difference between being a sociopath and a lunatic and being just an evil person could be just the slightest.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, there's synonyms really like
Right.
that in regards to the way that they act. I mean, if you want to go back into different acts of human terror, I mean, World War II with the concentration camps, and there's, like slavery, everything else. There's just different instances in human history where a select few people, whatever their mind and concept of reality is so far from the one that I have, it's hard for me to grasp.
That's the power of ideas being controlled, though. The minute you control the ideas of a populace, you can have them do anything.
Right.
And the Nazis were a perfect example. The Germans, you look through history, they're not generally bad people. Nobody looks and says, those assholes. No, they're generally good people. And you had that one period after World War I, where they came in and changed the mindset of the people, believing in their genetic superiority, believing in the racism and the spite against other countries. So you changed the mindset, and what you ended up with was exactly what history looks at as one of the worst regimes ever.
Yeah. One of the I agree.
And does something like this, the Boston bombing, does this impact you in the way you handle your day-to-day or your vacation or your next plan?
I think for me personally, it only brings an awareness that I would normally never have. Like if I go to a Marlins game, I'm not gonna not go because I'm scared of an attacking. You're gonna be attacked whether you're at your house or away. If it's gonna happen to you, it's gonna happen. But it is something else where your alarm where you are. I'm going to be more aware of my surroundings.
Of the
Of-
guy next to you with a
this,
backpack?
absolutely.
You'll step back and maybe go to the line that he's not in?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'll go that far, but I'm definitely going to be. If I see anything suspicious, I'm going to speak up more after this than before.
Oh, because I know. I mean, I'm in the process now of looking where we're going for the next football game now.
Right.
And I was looking for the tickets. We're going to Denver, Philadelphia, or Denver, Washington. Those are the two games.
Denver?
At Denver.
Oh, Denver,
So,
Washington's got
so I think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, but I'm thinking about the flight over there already, and I'm thinking about where we're going to stay and how we're going to move around there. You know, I'm going to be with my son. If I'm alone, maybe I think less about it, but I'm going to be with Anthony.
Yeah.
And Anthony could be that 8-year-old kid that was there watching his dad. You know, it's terrifying. A trip to Disney World. Everybody goes into the same 12 lines to get into the park, and they check your bag with that little stick, and the guy looks and give me a break.
It's one of those things where it scares me that it hasn't happened more. Homegrown terrorism hasn't happened more.
Just
in
think
the
of
United
all
States.
the places that it can happen at.
Oh yeah.
That we visit on a regular basis.
You and me work at a school. Do you know how easy it is to just walk into a school?
Absolutely.
Like, I've thought about that. I walk in the front door and no one sees me.
And that's why the people that do this are not normal people.
Yeah.
Hence, if there would be normal people doing this, it would happen a lot more because you have an opportunity to do it pretty much anywhere you want. And to your point, Carlos, when it's your day to go, it's your day to go, bro.
Yeah, I know. That's true. But we go to church and I know where the exit's at. We go to dinner and I sit with my back to the wall, not to the doors.
I would think it's irresponsible for you not to be more aware
You have to be.
after this. Yeah.
To an extent. I mean, you're not going to get neurotic. You're not going to say, I'm not leaving the house.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Because
you can't let that live your life. Right?
Because now they win. They have they have established exactly what they wanted to, is that fear of you're not going to go, but you got to be aware.
I'm not proud of what I'm about to say, but it's true. I am aware when there is Middle Easterns around. That's the truth. When there's
Is there anybody here who's not?
Uh,
I don't stereotype anybody,
I do.
but I absolutely know if you're not an American. Yeah, I'm very much aware of it.
yeah. See, I'm not. I think whether you're white or black or you have a yarmulke or anything else on your head.
I'm not worried about yarmulkes. They
Well,
don't blow
no.
people up.
Yeah, I mean, they're Jewish terrorists.
yeah.
I don't.
Right, but that's not the prevailing thought, or what we're expected, or we are expecting of a terrorist.
Right.
So,
No.
so I do when I have gotten on those planes in the last couple of years. Absolutely, I'm aware of who's sitting around me, and I agree with him. It's not something that I'm proud to say, but I'd be a hypocrite if I told you otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be a hypocrite if I told you otherwise.
I'm trying to think because I don't think I've ever met anyone from the Middle East outside of some Israelis. And I think the other thing for me is that I have friends that if I didn't tell you they were Cuban, and I just had them walk in with a turban or whatever, you'd fully believe they're Saudi or something else.
Right?
No,
And, and that
So-
would be what would trigger me to be a little bit more leery of what's going on.
I think that I've been to the Middle East a couple of times, and your point of the Cubans looking Middle Eastern, I think rarely does a Cuban have looked like a Middle Eastern. I think there was a lot of Lebanese that moved to Cuba in the 20s or 30s, whenever the hell they went over, and there's some descendants like a friend of ours. The other parents have the Russian kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's descendant of Lebanese, and he looks Middle Eastern. But your regular Cuban doesn't look anything like the Middle East guys.
I'm trying to think because we know somebody who's Lebanese or half Lebanese.
Mm-hmm.
We know someone who's fully Lebanese, but then the two that I'm thinking, the Hernandez, if they came in with their full beards, because they're very hairy faced people, like, and especially the older brother with the longer hair, he's been stopped before. I mean, like, hey, we're gonna search you. And he's like, "Está bien, okay." Now, it might also be that I'm just not familiar with anybody from the Middle East, so I can't break the visual quite as well. I just see darker skin, black hair.
Is that wrong? Is that wrong?
No, No, it's not wrong.
I don't think anything's wrong if you're trying to watch out for your own safety.
Right.
Really.
It's not wrong
As
as
long
long as
as-
you know it's by the statistics.
And you're not being discriminatory.
That's
toward
the
person.
difference. That's the difference. If you're doing it solely because they're like that, then I would say I don't know. But if you're doing it and they look suspicious and they're also, I think their suspicion is heightened because of the way that they look. But if you're just doing it strictly because you think something's up, then I would say no.
Yeah, it's bro. If the Italians put in bombs, anybody who looked Italian, you'd be suspicious
You'd
of.
be suspicious.
Well, yeah.
Or if the Germans who put in bombs, anybody who looked German, you'd be suspicious of. It's the way it is. I travel about a month, maybe a month and a half or so after 9/11. I went to Ecuador, and I traveled with a guy. This guy's Indian. He's not, Middle Eastern Muslim. He's Indian, and he looks typical Indian. This guy, we got out of the airport, and I felt bad for him. But the first couple of security points we went to, and it was rigid and it was hard because it was only maybe 3 weeks, a month. I told him his nickname or whatever is BJ, and I said, BJ, bro, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to walk with you. This is insane. And I kept the first couple of times I told the security guard, dude, this guy is not Arab. He's Indian. Don't you see he's Indian? Listen to him talk. They didn't care.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just the perception of
I-
what you might be.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that if we say that I'm sorry, it's the way it is, but for them people it sucks
Oh yeah.
because the majority of the people are not
Are
terrorists.
absolutely the vast majority. The
So-
percentage is so small.
But it is what it is. Because
Right.
if it would be Cubans freaking pulling bombs, I would look at every Cuban sideways.
Well, it's the same thing that happened in World War II after the Pearl Harbor attacks. The United States actually had camps for people that were
yeah.
Japanese.
Yeah.
And they weren't all Japanese that they were interning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If your eyes were a little slanted, you were going into an intern camp.
Yeah.
Didn't matter if you were Korean or Chinese or Filipino, you're going.
So there's one more aspect that I want to hit on before we go to break and when we talk sports. But after the initial bomb goes off, imagine if you guys are there. You're either running it or you're across the street. My girlfriend's aunt's sisters, like in-law, they were across the street, literally across the street from the first bomb. So they were right there, which is,
At the event.
can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah. So that goes off and you're there. Your initial reaction is what? Because there were two kinds of people. There were people that were running away and there were people that were running towards what happened. Me personally, I'm talking about my own desire. I would want my initial reaction to be to run towards. But I don't know. Because you haven't been through that sort of, crisis that's happening right before you. Unless you're like, because my brother, he's trained to be a firefighter. He graduated from fire college. I know his first reaction would be to run towards. I'm not. I'm a civilian.
And we know Raul's reaction would be to run.
Right. I'm a civilian. I do sports with you guys. I'm a student. I don't know what my first reaction would be. I hope that I would be running towards to help as opposed to running away from it. That was something that was running through my mind as this whole process was happening. I was wondering what you guys would think about that.
Mine is easy. If I'm alone, I'm helping. If I'm with my kids, I'm moving them out first.
Mm-hmm.
That's get my wife, get my kids, get them the hell out of there, and then if I can come back, I'll come back. If I'm alone, I'm probably going to help. I'm probably looking towards the mass and try to get to that group and try to do crowd control, try to help with the people. That's something that I know I could do.
That's something you can 100% say.
Yeah,
Because
if I'm alone,
I don't know.
If I'm alone,
But listen to the question, because the question is the millisecond after it happens. In other words, you heard the bomb.
Yeah, your instinct. Your
Yeah,
instinct.
your
your
instinct.
instincts.
I think my instincts would be to go and help the group. I don't know that I'm going to go and grab somebody whose limb is falling apart. I'm not going to be that guy with the cowboy hat who sticks his hand into the guy's body and pinches off the artery. I know I'm not going to be that guy. That guy's going to bleed to death if he expects me to do that. That's not me.
Mm-hmm.
But I might tie a tourniquet on. I can do crowd control. I can move people. I can get people going to one place. I can assist the police. That would be something that I would do. If I'm with my kids, I'm not doing any of that. I'm getting my kids and my wife out of there. But I think, the moment the bomb hits, if I'm alone, if I'm there in Boston on my own, if I would have been there like I was a couple of years ago during the convention I was there, and that would have happened, I think that would have been my reaction.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think anybody can tell you what they're gonna do until it happens. Not Raul and not your brother either. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
it's,
I think there's a much higher likelihood that both of those guys are going to get there before I do.
yeah. I mean,
I'm not going to.
especially Josh is trained to help,
Right.
but it ain't. You never know how you're gonna react. Man.
I'm not arguing that point. You're absolutely right.
You never know.
And I'm so self-aware of how useless I would be. Like, what am I gonna do?
You don't know that, man.
I know.
That's
but,
another. That's
You
like,
don't.
that's
but
true
my
too.
like my instinct is what the hell could I do? And I have no idea whether I would run. I don't know which direction I'd run, and I have no idea what I could do. And
Doesn't
my
that
guess
sit
is,
with you? Because that's been sitting with me in my stomach. I don't know what I would do. I would think after running this through my mind, I would hope my reaction would be, since I've been processing it through my mind, that I would go. But it's been sitting with me that I don't know if I would run towards it.
Well, here we
I
are,
don't know.
8 days later, and you still don't know.
Right.
And you're never
So,
gonna know.
so imagine at that minute, I think your thought process of wanting to be that person versus who you might be, I think it completely jibes well with what George is saying, where you just don't know
You don't.
until that second happens.
I agree with you 100%. If my kids were with me, that my reaction will be
That you can tell.
to take
That you
take
can
my
tell.
kids.
Yeah, there's
That-
no
that,
there's
no
no
doubt.
there's
No
no
doubt.
scenario where I
No.
would say stay here, I'll be back. That's not the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the scenario. I'm getting them the hell out of there where they're completely safe, and then maybe
Well, no, what I'm saying is my initial reaction, my millisecond reaction
is the kids.
If
and
the
the
kids
wife,
are
yeah.
there, it's instantly will be the kids.
Right.
No doubt about
Absolutely.
that. After that, I don't know.
Okay.
And if I'm alone, I have no clue.
Well, this is topics and psychoanalysis of ourselves that will continue with us. I mean, it was a rough week. There was an explosion in Texas. There was some stuff happening in the government. Like, it was a crazy week last week in regards to all the sports stuff too, the ending of the NBA season and all that stuff. Boston, all those guys up there were awesome. I mean, I saw videos and the different stories you would hear. This will be the last thing before we head to break. Sports to me is it's not nothing more, but it's one of the greatest reflections of society. What happens in the sports realm is a mirror into what people outside that are just fans see themselves as and reflect themselves as. When I heard this next audio I'm going to play, I teared up and I had goosebumps bigger than I've ever had. It was the Boston Bruins, the first game after this happened, and the Boston Bruins were playing, and it was the very next day. It was that Tuesday. Emotions were high, and they sang the national anthem. And we're going to hear the clip, and the guy, he goes to sing the national anthem, and he stops, and just the whole crowd takes over the national anthem, and it resonates. It resonated with me, and it's just one of those moments where you're like, man, I know sports in the grand scheme of things it's obviously not as important as what happened up in Boston, but it is one of those moments where you're able to reflect and see there are people out there that are bad, but there are more people out there that are good.
Of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join together and sing loudly with Rene Rancourt as he performs tonight's national anthem. Representing all of Boston's first responders, please welcome the Boston Fire Department Honor Guard to present tonight's colors. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the stars that stream, whose stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like in
That's
2000
powerful.
2011 when Great Britain and France played the national anthem after the terrorist attacks.
Goosebumps.
Those are huge, huge moments.
Nothing but goosebumps. We'll go to break, and we'll talk some other stuff after this break.
Give me that Dorsey, man. You don't need the Dorsey. Oh, it's a Dorsey. Relax.
By the way, this is what they blast in Guantanamo Bay to torture all those people. Welcome back to the Sports Table. This is Ministry, Just One Fix.
I can play ball with this.
Of Psalms 69. Tenemos the album.
It's not bad, man. Like you said, we could play ball.
I can play ball with this.
Well, you can't play ball at all now. Alan's he's toughening it out with us. He wasn't gonna miss this show.
But I ain't no Derrick Rose. I tough shit out.
You got food poisoning? What was it?
I have no idea, man. I that glorious pizza that the mad scientist made for us.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I missed the entire third quarter of the Heat game because I had to go to the bathroom. The weight.
How do you sit on a toilet for 30 minutes?
It was a lot, man.
Wow.
It was a lot. No, I walked out. Like I left as halftime was ending. I came out and it was 2 minutes left in the game in the third quarter. I'm like, holy shit!
They were up by 6 now, by the way.
Yeah.
They were up by 6, yeah.
Okay. At half?
Second quarter.
At the end of the second quarter?
Towards the end of the second quarter. It's
Okay.
not
I had
halftime.
14 seconds when I checked the phone.
Okay. Well, leading it into the Heat segment.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh,
The-
don't sound so happy.
The NBA playoffs started,
Yeah.
and just throwing it out there, do you feel like we're in the playoffs yet? Because I don't.
No.
No.
I don't.
Like the game's going on right now, and I'm not particularly worried that I can't see it.
Right. Well, that's the thing. This show wouldn't be going on if it was, the Heat versus Indiana or whatever.
No, next round.
Yeah, next round.
We'll start making sacrifices.
Yeah. But, yeah, I still don't feel like the playoffs have started yet, even though they have already, and this is game 2.
Is Chicago or that New Jersey team, whatever they are?
Brooklyn.
Chicago
Yeah, them.
scares me a little bit.
Why? They can't score.
But they've beat us before.
Yeah, but that's in the season. Again,
So
the
has
regular
Milwaukee.
season, the regular season and the playoffs are two different things. I mean, if the Heat play Chicago now, they may only score 90. Chicago's going to score 70, 76.
Right.
I mean, they're going to punish Chicago. I mean, without Derrick Rose, who's a good player and still had struggles against the Heat to score, they've really got nobody that can score with the exception of Luol Deng on a hot night, and that's 1 out of 5 nights. So no, the playoffs don't start until you have a little bit of fear or some apprehension about whether or not you're going to win this game. The playoffs don't start, at least the way I look at it. So it could be a while before I'm vested into the playoffs.
That's with all right, I believe. This is where I was going to go. The Heat deserve all this confidence.
Yeah, I agree. When you won 40, when you're 40-2 in your last 42 games,
Yeah.
you've built that. You've built the right to be that.
They've lost 4 games in the last 3 freaking months.
Yeah.
4 games in 3 months. Alan, put this into perspective.
Isn't it also 4 games at home the whole season?
For a whole season,
Yeah,
4 games at home.
Yeah.
4 games at home the entire year. 37
And a
4?
few of them were
Something like
early
that.
on, too, like bad losses, like the Golden State, when they were flaking early on. And then
37
about.
4.
Yeah.
Didn't the Heat have like a 9-11 record at one point or something like
They
that?
were, I think, 11-11 on the road,
11.
and I'm pretty sure it's stuck at 11. I think it just stuck there. Like, okay, yeah, 500 in your face.
I mean, give me a break. It's just, yeah, it's exciting, and you want I'll watch some of the highlights tonight, but there's no fear.
Well,
There's
we don't have a choice today.
There's no fear.
Well, the first game I missed it because I had to do homework and I had finals last week or yesterday, I should say. So I missed the first game. I just saw a few of the highlights. My background picture, I don't know if you guys could see it. It's LeBron James, like in the fish lens, where it's round on
Is
the
it the
outside.
stink face?
No. It's just him down. It's just him down, and there are flames on the sides of him.
I'm surprised you don't have
that's
his
perfect.
his
It's
stink
awesome.
face.
No, I mean I have his stink face from last year. Still, the
but
Boston
this
Game
one-
6 when he's looking down and he's just
That's not a stink face. That's like kill focus face.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm talking about when he dropped the god damn, and it looked
That
like
was
someone
nice.
it looked like someone had farted where he landed, and he just like I disgust
damn, what is
myself.
that?
Whoa.
Yeah, the Heat they're pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
and I'm so happy with it. This is the pinnacle of Miami sports. This run.
Yes, it is.
You know
Yes,
the
it is,
best part is
because
you
it's
could-
been too long to argue that point with the Dolphins.
Well, it's not in the history. I mean, the 1972 season is, the epitome of
Greatness,
domination.
yes, but that's
But it was 1972.
exactly.
I was 6.
Exactly.
And the team that went 1-15 could beat that team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Yeah, none of them can catch Camarillo.
I can't even remember who was
And
on
Curtis
that one?
Johnson would have ripped Camarillo's head off trying to get off the line of scrimmage. Bro. They would have planted him
Who was
like
on-
a
No,
tree.
man, give me a break.
Who was on that team?
Larry Zonka.
Larry Zonka,
Wouldn't
Mercury
have been
Morris,
able to run
Larry
through that
Zonka
defense.
wouldn't have gotten
They
to the
wouldn't have been
line.
able to run
Kick,
through that
Bob
defense.
Greasy,
No way.
Paul
No way.
Warfield,
Are you kidding?
No way. No way,
Marlon
fellas.
Briscoe,
No
It would
way.
have been Jason Taylor playing
the Mad
basketball
Dog,
with their heads.
the Mad
That's
Dog
exactly
at
what
the
it
tight
is.
end, Howard Twilley.
The Mad Dog. You think the Mad Dog would have been able to break through on an NFL defense today?
Was Zach Thomas still on that team? Or did he leave already?
No, I think
I know
he had left
JT
it-
was still there.
Yeah, he left.
Young
I
and
think
stupid.
to
Young and stupid.
Look, I'm just looking at the bodies.
yeah, man. Look at the dimensions that those people have.
Nick Bonacani was probably a little bit smaller than Zach Thomas. He'll still knock your head off while you were running up the middle. Bill Stanfield.
I'm guessing
Nick
Nick Bonacani
Bonacani.
had a neck, though. Zach Thomas hasn't had a neck since he was 18.
I told you guys I saw him on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he could fly away with the flaps of muscle on his back.
Jake Scott, Dick Anderson, Mike Curtis.
How many Hall of Famers has in the
30,
past?
37?
15 years.
Oh,
15
geez.
years.
That
on,
offensive line
man.
can move this building, man. Bob Kuchenberg, Larry
Nonsense.
Little, Jim Langer.
They wouldn't have put a hand on JT.
Yeah.
He would have just ran by them.
For real.
He
For
would
real.
have been running around, right? And Zonka would have been going right through the hole.
And he would have chased
And-
Zonka down.
And Zonka would have
Well,
been laying
he would have
flat on his
high-stepped
face.
over the
Yeah.
offensive line
Yeah.
from
First
the
of all,
back.
There's no way.
First of all, he'd have put a forearm in his chest that would have knocked JT's chest out.
that I
Are
can
you
see.
talking about Jason Taylor, the best defensive lineman the Dolphins ever had?
Absolutely.
No. I the only reason I'll agree with this one is I can see Zonka turning around and just forearming JT's face.
He would go out
and
of
then
his-
keep going.
He'll lose 3 yards, forearm him, drop him, knock him out, and then get another 6.
You ever seen?
And God
Zonka-
forbid,
any of the
freaking
highlights of
Dansby
Zonka?
was in the
No,
lineup.
man, I don't watch the Flintstones. I don't care about that.
You ain't right.
Going back to basketball,
Let's do that.
the Heat, they're up one game. I don't even want to break down this series. I don't even want to mention Brandon Jennings and Milwaukee. They're below 500 playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no need to even talk about this game. We can talk about the Heat a little bit. You can talk about Birdman and his impact on
How
this
awesome
team.
is that, huh?
Yeah.
How much impact is he really having? I mean, the team is what, 40-2 with him? Since
I-
they picked him up?
It's it's a great impact. It's a little flashier than it probably really is, because the other thing is he's finishing with these rainbow arm dunks because he has rainbow arms.
Right.
So I think it looks more impactful than it is. The ridiculous record that he has since he's been here, that's more LeBron than him.
That's true.
But there is a marked difference that you can throw it into the anywhere near the rim, and there's a guy who's going to catch it and finish. Whereas Udonis could catch it and probably try to lay it up, or Joel Anthony would have tried a header as if he was Drogba, just face first into the ball.
Because he's playing soccer?
Yo, absolutely. No, I
Because
believe
he has no hands.
He has 4 feet. 2 of them are attached to his wrist, which is why he's such a great defensive player. He just keeps kicking it away.
He is bad.
Oh my gosh.
He's bad. Anyway, but to go on to the rest of the playoffs. Brooklyn, Chicago. I mean, a lot of people were saying Chicago could upset Brooklyn. I don't see it.
Nah, I'm still thinking that Brooklyn's a better basketball team.
They
don't
should
see
be, but it's gonna take them figuring out how to keep Darren Williams going. Because
Yeah.
without him, that team goes to crap. And
I
you
think
hope
that
he-
was an aberration where
yeah.
where you have
It would
Heinrich
seem so
stop him
because
like he did
Heinrich is
yesterday.
not
He's
the
not,
guy.
He's not a defender.
Yeah,
He had a good game. I think Williams was a little bit surprised, and I think they were caught off balance by the fact that, or off guard, that he would actually come out and be as aggressive as he was defensively, and they had no answer for it at the moment.
and then the whole deal with the playoffs comes into play, where now you have tape on it. Now you can start making the
Oh, yeah.
adjustments.
Yeah.
And you got time, so
Yeah.
I don't see that. I think it's a 5-game, maybe 6 if they take one in Chicago.
And let's not forget, Brooke Lopez has probably put some oil on those steel joints of his.
True.
That guy looks like. I feel like his name should be Lurch. Throw me ball, I move.
Well, the next series after that, you can't pay me to watch Indiana, Atlanta.
You don't want to
Wow.
watch Hibbert foul out and complain? Because that's another useless giant.
Indiana,
is he-
Atlanta.
Is he? Am I missing something with this Indiana guy? What's his name?
Paul George.
Paul George. Am I missing something there?
As far as why he gets the buzz he gets.
His greatness. Am I missing something? I don't think he's
got
that
the-
good.
He's got the most improved award.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
his-
So did
Why?
what's his name for the Dolphins? Got the Ed Block Award, which is the same thing. What does that mean? They cut him the next week or traded him, whatever the hell it was. So Paul George gets the Ed Block Award. What the hell does that mean?
I think it's tied to. I think Barkley made a comment about how good he will be. I think. I'm trying to remember this guy. The guy out of Kansas City.
Kansas City.
The writer out of Kansas City.
Oh, Whitlock.
Whitlock.
Jason Whitlock.
Comments about him a lot. And
Well, because
then-
he's from Indiana.
yeah. Well, no, it's absolute fanboyism. But then he had a number spike when Granger went out. So that's when everybody's like, "Hey, wait."
Wait.
I'm not saying it's an efficiency
No,
spike.
no,
It's just
but-
a number spike.
Right, but that's an obvious number spike.
Yeah.
If the best player on your team that takes 37 shots a game is out, somebody has to take the shots.
Right.
Look,
Right.
this is a matter of your education level beating the media's education level, where you know that, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. Dwayne Wade doesn't play. Mike Miller's going to get some shots. Dwayne Wade plays. Mike Miller's over there in a spa somewhere.
Wearing his back brace, a bright blue back brace.
God, I want to know what that's made of.
I don't know.
That
I'm
has
just
to be made of like gypsy tears.
I'm missing the boat. With
You know how
with
many?
Paul
I mean,
George.
you know how many shots he made?
Who's that?
George
Paul George?
last game?
No, tell me.
3.
3 shots he made.
He's a star.
Yeah,
Three
superstar.
shots.
He's a
Superstar.
star.
I mean, I
think he had 21
he's a star.
points.
Watch out.
I think
What
Whitlock
did
calls him
Whitlock
three
say?
shots.
Watch out, LeBron.
I think he's the baby dragon to
Yes,
Whitlock.
somebody said that. Somebody made a comment.
Whitlock.
it was
I think
Whitlock. It was Whitlock.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy cannot defend. He's a little bit better than Melo as far as defending
A
goes.
little bit.
A little bit
Come
better
on,
than Melo.
George can guard better than Melo can.
Who, me? Yeah.
You know what? I'd like to get the Melo when you get there. Let me
No,
know.
yeah, that's the next game. New York and Boston. That's the next series. New York went up 1 up against Boston. I saw 0 chance of Boston winning this game, just throwing it out there. There was no way they can beat the Knicks. No way possible. And I think the Knicks might sweep them, to be honest with you.
How inefficient can one superstar be and still get the recognition of being a superstar? This dude takes 30 shots to score 36 points.
As long as he scores for 36, that's all anyone
That's all
cares
they're
about.
looking
Yeah.
at.
You realize from I was reading this guy touched the ball in the first half 26 times. He passed it twice. He missed 11 of the last 13 shots he took in the first half. He
Well,
missed,
we
he-
went over the plus minus, remember?
he missed 11 of the last 13 shots. He passed the ball twice out of 26 touches.
And I guarantee you, those 2, J.R. Smith took a 3 from half court. I got it. I finally got it.
That's why they're not a good team.
I-
That's why they're not a good team.
But then you get again these pundits that we talked about a little earlier. These guys that sit there and pontificate their knowledge of the game. You know, you sit there and listen to these clowns on television or on the radio and tell you how great a Melo is. The numbers don't bear that out. He can
Right.
score.
Right.
I've told you that before. I compare him to a George Gervin, a great scorer. But that's it. That's where his game ends. When you average 4 rebounds at 6'8", 260, and you average 3.5 assists for the year. You're not an elite player in this league. You're an elite scorer, but that's all you do.
We won the scoring title. I'm sure that's what he's been wanting.
Exactly, which is and I guarantee you, if you told him you can win the scoring title for the next 3 years, or you can win an NBA championship, he's going to take that scoring title.
Yeah.
He's going to take that scoring
He's
title.
selfish. He's not
He's exactly what he is, and I'll tell him that to his big 6'9" self.
from a
So-
distance.
Yes.
So Boston, they're playing New York. They're down 1-0. I think they play tonight.
Yeah, I think they play tonight.
See, that's one of those things. I have a hard time rooting for Boston, but I would root for them here in the series. Because
Against New York?
anything New York, man, I'm rooting against.
Yeah.
It's so bred in me.
It's really.
can't
I mean,
stand
you
it.
know what? It's like Al Qaeda, New York. Al Qaeda, New York. It's really one day one day the other. I'm not really sure.
I just completely shrunk. Yeah. So I feel like if New York passes Boston, there's no way they get past Indiana. I think it would be Indiana and Miami in the Eastern Conference Championship.
It all depends because the one thing about New York is, as inefficient as they are, they can vomit 120-point games at random.
That's true.
And I'm not sure Indiana can deal with that. And then you have the back and forth with the matchups. Does Indiana's big, slow, methodical style win out, or does the throw shit at the rim and hope it goes in style win out? And how that tug and pull works out is how that series will go.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's just throwing threes, the Indiana's not gonna be able to win.
No.
That's not what they're built for.
That whole series hinges on Tyson Chandler and whether he plays well or not. Because otherwise, they're going to get eaten up inside. They can't stop Hayward. They can't stop West.
I
inside.
don't think the Knicks can beat Indiana.
I don't think so either.
I don't.
Well, I mean that's I guess when the Eastern Conference starts getting like fun in the next round, because the Western Conference, boy, their matchups are so awesome.
With the exception of the Laker one.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
that's,
say.
and that's only because Kobe's hurt.
Right.
If Kobe was on the court, it
That'd
would
be
be a
awesome.
very,
Yeah.
very fun,
Yeah.
fun
Because
series.
Denver Golden State, that was not Ty Lawson. What's this guy?
Andre
Andrew
Miller.
Andrew Miller.
Andre Miller.
El mismo. Dude, that's you guys. That's you two over here.
Old man swag.
Oh my gosh, using backboard, using his body,
A
getting
little
to the
spin on
lane.
it, yeah, left hand.
Come on,
I-
man.
I like
that was awesome. And then the Clippers beating Memphis on a last second buzzer by Chris Paul.
And I think that's the way that entire series is going to go. I think it'll go 7, and I think it'll be last minute and a half, lead change. That's the way that series is going to go.
I always thought that was going to be the best series to watch out of anybody in the first round. A lot of people like Denver Golden State, but they're too inexperienced. These guys met last year, and I love Zach Randolph.
Isn't he?
Oh, my God, I love watching him play.
That's a player I like on my basketball team.
Because that dude just doesn't give a fuck about anything. He will elbow you in your ear if he could.
Absolutely.
And Blake Griffin's feeling it. Feeling it. And then the other one is Oklahoma, Houston, and that's good because,
Wah, wah, wah.
That's
because James Harden and
That's almost as good as the Heat Buck series.
Well, yeah, it's
You know what's
just
funny?
it's a better
That team
storyline.
would be the 5 seed in the East.
Who,
Houston would be like the 5 seed
Oh,
in the East.
easy.
No, by record. They would be the 5 seed.
Oh,
That shows you the gap in the West to East.
Yeah, they
And
won, 40 some on 48
No.
games, 49 games?
who cares?
Milwaukee didn't win squad.
Oh, they're under 500.
No, yeah, they're under 500 in the playoffs.
The Heat should be. The Heat should start. Norris Cole, Mike Miller.
How awesome! Man. The
Yes.
second bench,
Mike
that
Miller.
second team is
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, start that second team, man.
I want to see more of my
With
Mike
the horse
Miller.
astronaut. I know. Poor Mark Miller. He didn't even play last year.
Well, of course not. You know, he's in between Lazarus Pit treatments. So they haven't resurrected him yet. He's got a couple weeks before he can go back in.
Right.
Him and his buddy Ra's al Ghul, or Raish now, I guess.
Well, anyway, playoffs are awesome, but not for Miami. That starts, I guess, conference finals. 'Cause
Yeah.
Brooklyn's not going to be anything near Chicago.
No, again, we'll start watching when they're playing the Knicks. Or they're playing
What
the-
did I tell you when the Heat? Remember we had this conversation early on. When would the Heat hit their playoff stride? And I said the second round of the playoffs. Remember we talked about that. Someone posed that question. You
I
said they were
remember.
gonna. Yeah, remember you said. I forget.
I said it.
You
I
said it was
at
gonna
the
be a
very
few
beginning.
weeks before the season ended.
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
it. I said the first.
Yeah, you
series.
didn't see that winning streak?
Well, yeah. I mean that was sort of by happenstance.
Look at me happenstance.
Either way, we're gonna go to break. We're gonna come back with Jesse Agger to talk Dolphins, the draft, the stadium,
Uniforms.
the uniforms, the logo.
It'll be 8-1.
I want to see you guys argue, Jorge. I want to see you argue. I know how much you like the Dolphins. All right?
What do you mean argue about what?
Yeah, about the Dolphins. I just want to see you be a little bit combative. You know what I mean?
Okay, so go against whatever he says.
Just be yourself. Just be yourself.
Jesse likes what's going on. He's a dog.
No,
He's a dog.
no.
He's a dog.
Does that mean he likes this trade?
I don't know. I don't know.
Lineman?
I'm gonna have him explain the last 12 draft choices.
Oh my God, that's gonna be awesome. So we'll get to all that as soon as we get back from this break.
Congregation, please be seated and open your prayer guides to the book of Revelations, Psalm 69.
Oh my God.
It's a very good song.
This is something interesting to come back to. Welcome back to the Sports Table. Again, this is Ministry, Psalm 69. I'm sure this gets epic, but it's a little bit uncomfortable right before.
Yeah, give me my barbarian gear.
Yeah, exactly. Again, welcome back to the Sports Table. I'm Chris, still here with you, Carlos, here with George and Alan. And now we get to some of your guys' favorite topic, the Dolphins. And we are joined by a very special guest, the voice of the Finsiders and the halftime, pregame, and postgame of every Miami Dolphins game, Jesse Agler. Jesse, you here with us?
Yes, sir. What's going on, guys?
How's it going, Jesse? Appreciate you coming on with us. Before we get into any of the Dolphins stuff and the draft, and this is a busy time for the franchise. I want to talk about you, Jesse, and sort of the trip that you've been on. I mean, you came from out of UM, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, you started out of UM, and then you went. I think I looked it up that you went to do some baseball. What was the track, Jesse? Basically, lay it out for us to get to where you've been or where you are now with the Dolphins.
Oh, man, that's a boring story. Right after I graduated from UM, I went to the middle of nowhere in southwest Kansas to do like a wood bat minor league, summer league kind of like baseball situation. I did that the summer after I graduated in '04. And then I came back, and pretty quickly I started working at QAM in Miami, and just kind of went from there. I got to help on the Panthers pregame show and the postgame show that first year, I guess '05, after the hockey lockout, bad hockey lockout. So I did the Panthers, and then that kind of spun into getting to do the Marlins pre- and postgame shows in 2006 for them. And I did 2 seasons with the Panthers, 2 seasons with the Marlins. And both those teams left QAM, so I did some Kane stuff at QAM, eventually found my way over to Clear Channel, and that kind of helped lead to the Dolphins situation. So this will be my 4th season coming up. This is my 4th draft next week, working with the Dolphins, so I'm excited about it.
I mean, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to get into. I mean, we're all radio guys. We listen to radio, and you've gone through, one of the paths that you basically dipped your toes in all the professional sports around here in Miami. I mean, how much fun are you having now covering the Dolphins, like you said, in the 4th season? Does it get any better?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I'm a huge baseball fan, a huge football fan. For me personally, I put those 2 sports above the rest. Getting to do the Marlins stuff for 2 years was a really great experience. Baseball is just such a different animal. It's that day in, day out grind. It's 162 games and 180 whatever days, and it's just a crazy lifestyle. It's totally different, time schedule in football. Football, a lot of stuff takes place early in the morning. You get home at a reasonable hour. Baseball, I think I was staying up late after the games and partying a little bit. And then,
right.
You didn't have to be at the park the next day until 3 o'clock. So when I was younger, that was perfect. Now that I'm an old married guy, it's probably better that I'm doing the football stuff. But, I've been really lucky that I've gotten to do, stuff with the different teams in town. And, really get to experience all the different, sports and the schedules and the routines that go along with that. One of the things I always tell people, though, when they ask about a career path and how'd you end up here and all that kind of stuff is it seems like everybody ends up wherever they end up in a different way. There's no right way to do this. Everybody kind of ends up where they end up after a different path than the previous person. And it's just about each individual's experience. And it's kind of funny how it works out.
Well, you got to give us a story, Jesse. I mean, I've hung out. I mean, Troy, does the show with Amigo and Diz, and I've produced their show. And I know the Finsiders, when you're out of town, they've come into the studio here at 940, and they've been here, and I've been able to interact with them. And those guys are crazy. They're fun, man. You got to give us a story of behind the scenes, something where you're like, holy crap, I can't believe this is happening.
I don't know if there's like an oh crap story that comes right to mind, but it's definitely a fun group of guys. I mean, the neat thing is that I get to do the show every day with two guys who played, two guys at the same time. And so when you get two ex-athletes and teammates or whatever together, it's like all of a sudden, a lot of the time, they revert back to locker room form. And so there's a lot of
Right.
busting of chops and stuff like that. And it's fun to sort of get to be around that. I mean, I try not to become numb to it. I'm around it every day, but it's still cool. I'm just like a nerdy kid from South Florida who grew up watching these guys, and now it's like I get to bust chops with them, and I get to hang out with them and talk to them, and it's really a cool thing to sort of see them kind of interact in their element. And similarly with the Dolphin players that are on the team now, they come into our studio, and it's been really neat to get to know some of these guys really well over the last couple of years.
Because I know I talked to Troy about this last week. There was one time where they were in studio, and the way that they are on the Finsiders is completely different when they are off the Finsiders. Because I showed Troy, I was in here and I recorded. It was Troy Drayton, Sam Madison, and Troy Stratford, and I had them recording. I was recording what they were saying off air, and man, those guys can get wild when they're off air.
Yeah, when they're off air. I think we all can. And I'll leave it at that because it's off air.
That's true.
That's true. I mean, Jesse, so to get into a little bit more of the Dolphin stuff, we were saying at the top of the board, in the Dolphins' main headquarters, above any of the pick that they're going to take at 12 or any other trades or moves that they're going to make, is this stuff that's going on with the stadium. What's it like being there, being in Davie, around the organization? How vital and how much of an important move is it for them to get the stadium renovated?
I mean, the stadium thing is a big deal, but I don't think it has any impact whatsoever on number 12 or anything else that takes place in the draft. None. Zero.
Right.
Jeff Ireland is charged with putting a winning team on the field. Mike D is charged with trying to get this stadium modernization stuff pushed through. Mike doesn't tell Jeff who to draft, doesn't worry about who Jeff's going to draft.
Maybe he should.
Jeff doesn't worry about, Mike's business and that kind of stuff. I think, when free agency was going on and they were signing Wallace and Keller and the linebackers and Gibson, and they brought Hartline back, I saw, especially national media, because I think the local guys know better, but Florio was big on Pro Football Talk saying, oh, it's because, they're trying to get this stadium vote pushed through. People aren't going to vote for the stadium thing because they signed Mike Wallace.
Right.
That's just not how it works. I think it's silly. And even if they would, that's not the way Jeff Ireland is doing business. Jeff Ireland knows this is a big year for him, and he's got to do whatever he can for his own job and his own reputation to put the best team possible out on the field. He isn't worried about a stadium thing. He's got enough other crap he's got to worry about. So is it a big deal to the organization? Absolutely. It's about bringing Super Bowls and BCS title games and all that stuff to South Florida on a consistent basis. Steve Ross said it the other day. The Dolphins are going to be the Dolphins, and if the Dolphins win, the stadium's going to be packed, whether they get the modernization or not. Now, would it be better for the fans if there was a cover for shade? Yeah. Would it be better for the fans if the seats were closer to the field, especially on that one side where it seems like it's 30 yards from the visitor bench to the field?
Right.
Yeah, it'd be better. But the place will be packed if they're winning. So that's all well and good. You're not going to get Super Bowls though, and I think that's why they've sort of reached out to the community to try and make it a community thing, because the Super Bowls and the BCS title games and all the other big marquee events, they help the community, they help the hotels, they help the restaurants, yada, yada, yada. So that's the reason they're looking to do a private-public partnership, because when those big events come in, that helps everybody else.
Well,
the Dolphins are doing well, that helps Steve Ross, but it doesn't really matter much to the hotel guys.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you feel like it's a good deal? I mean, as a Miami fan and native, we're hypersensitive to stadiums being built because of what happened with the Marlins, and again, how they basically traded away the team, and now you see the ballpark that they built is empty. So is it a good deal? Because I know that the terms are different, but to you, do you feel like they're doing a good job?
The teams are wild. The terms are wildly different.
Right.
I mean, they really are. It's like not even an apples-to-apples comparison. I'll say this, and obviously I'm an employee of the Miami Dolphins. I'm not trying to fool anybody into thinking I'm some objective journalist. So I'm coming at this with a bias. But to me, The only way you can be against this thing is if you just have a philosophical opposition to tax dollars being used on this stuff. I don't fall into that category. My politics, my way of looking at things, I'm okay with public dollars helping out. So I don't have that problem. But if you're going to try and nitpick the deal itself, you're crazy. Because there has never in the history of public-private partnerships between a county/city and a sports franchise in the last 20 years or whatever, when this sort of stuff has become the norm, there's never been a deal as friendly to the community as this one. Steve Ross is picking up way more of a tab. And the fact of the matter is, I think, in 99 times out of 100, when you get either a new stadium for football, baseball, whatever, or a majorly modified, renovated, modernized, whatever you want to call it, stadium, in today's day and age, it's going to have public money. It's just that's the world we live in. And you can say it's good, you can say it's bad, but that's the reality. That's the world we live in. And this one is about as friendly to the community as anyone's ever been.
Hey, Jesse, Carlos here. Hey, I've seen that, I'm one of those individuals that has the philosophical difference, and I've been a Dolphin fan since the early 70s, 70, 71. And I'm a huge sports fan, but I do have that problem. I don't believe that the community or tax dollars should go to build facilities for billionaire team owners. I think that if it was such a great deal, the circles with which billionaires run in are other billionaires. And if it was such a great deal, why aren't other billionaires coming in to help Stephen Ross? Why isn't it a personal loan? Why isn't the NFL putting up even more money for this? I mean, there seemed to be, again, from a layman's perspective, I'm out in the street. I don't have any input with the Dolphins. I don't have any input with any of those individuals. But if it was such a good deal, why aren't other people stepping in, or why isn't he going outside within his circle to pull monies for this if there's going to be that kind of a payout for everybody at the end of the day?
I think when, and I'm not a financial expert, so this is just, like kind of a quick guess based on that question. It's an interesting question. And by the way, I'd encourage anybody with these kinds of questions, reach out to Mike D, of the Dolphins, and that, his Twitter account. He'll answer questions like this, and he's the expert on this kind of thing, not I. But I would say, the deal is it's different when you're lending money or using money from a principality, a government, whatever it is, a community, than from a person. So if it is going to be kind of a long-term thing paid out over 30 years, an individual, a 60-year-old billionaire probably isn't going to be as interested in a 30-year loan, as a city, which is obviously going to be around in 30 years. So maybe that addresses part of your question. But I think also, when you say you have a philosophical, problem with it, I get that. I understand. I don't agree with it, but, that's not one where you're going to change my mind and I'm going to change yours. But the other thing is, the tax money that we're talking about here, it's not coming from residents of Miami-Dade County. And I think that's always something to keep in mind. It's a tourist tax, and it puts a 1%, a penny increase on hotel bed tax in mainland Miami. So if you're doing a staycation and you live in Kendall or whatever, and you're like, oh, we want to do a weekend on South Beach for our anniversary, this doesn't even affect you. It's mainland Miami. I think they're raising the bed tax to the same level that it already is on Miami Beach. So they're just catching it up. I mean, that's, to me, a pretty inoffensive way to go about this whole thing. And you go to different cities, and those bed taxes in a lot of major cities are more than double what they are in Miami.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
this is nothing radical.
That's very true. I mean, I went to Baltimore last year and to watch the Steeler-Raven game, and I remember paying about 17% in Baltimore. So, yeah, that's true.
And this is going to be 7, I think.
Right. Hey, Jesse, you make a good argument. I mean, you can't really argue your train of thought. My question to you is: did you come up with this, or were you fed this?
Sure.
Did you come up with these answers? I mean, did you figure this out on your own, or did the Dolphins help you out?
These are my personal thoughts. Obviously, I know the details of the thing. I mean, it's my job to know all the details of all these kinds of deals. But no, it's not like I sit down with the Dolphins and they give me the answers to these kinds of questions. Right. Definitely not. I mean, this is just, I consider myself a relatively smart dude. Like, I get it. I understand this kind of stuff. I have my own feelings. I may play a dumb, jock sportscaster or whatever, but I'm into politics and I'm into public policy and all that kind of stuff, and I have an understanding of it. So this is just me talking.
Yeah, cool. Jesse's the versatile guy on the show. That's why we bring him on, so we can talk about stuff like this. Well, Jesse, listen, going on, you already mentioned briefly about how important it is for Jeff Ireland in this draft what can he do in order to sway the minds of all the people that want him out of Miami, basically?
Let somebody draft for him?
Win.
Jesse, you got a pick for
Win.
him?
It's the only thing he can do is win. That's the only way.
No, I think that's exactly right. I mean, he's got to win.
Yeah.
He's got to win. They've got to win. I don't know that there's necessarily a magic number, when it comes to like, oh, they got to win 9 games, they got to win 10 games, because there's obviously a couple of different ways you can win 9 games or 10 games. It can be, well, you were 9-4 and then you lost 3 in a row at the end. But maybe, you finished 8-8 and you were 2-6 and you have a great finish. So I don't know that there's necessarily a magic number when it comes to the number of games that they got to win in order to make it happen. But I think they got to win. I think it's that simple. And when it comes to who they're actually going to draft and all that kind of stuff, man, I don't have a clue.
Hey,
It's a
Jesse,
weird year.
it? I mean, winning's important, and you're right. Ultimately, that's going to be the deciding factor on his future. But more so than winning, having a draft that doesn't constitute, the John Jerrys and the Coamises and the Daniel Thomases and
Agnew.
Sean Smiths and Pat Whites, Agnews and Turners and Henneys and Merlins and Langfords, those guys that I'm terrified, man. Those guys were 2nd and 3rd round draft choices, as you know much better than I do. What's to stop that from happening again, where we end up with guys that are either not here a year later or are still here and just barely hanging on, that are not productive football players for this team?
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously plenty of misses in the draft. I got to do a study one day, because I always think about this, like to look at every team, and let's say on average a team picks 7 guys in the draft because there's 7 rounds. And obviously that number gets moved around, and the Dolphins have 11 picks right now, although I imagine they'll make a couple of trades before all is said and done. And I would love to know that on average for a team, 7 picks, how many of those guys end up being like really good players for them? I would bet on a year in, year out basis it's like 2 or 3, which is crazy. But I mean, it's like in baseball, you hit 300 and you go to the All-Star game.
Yeah, you're a star.
And I think it might be kind of similar in football. Nobody ever talks about it like that, because it's easy to point out a guy that's bust, or really easy to point out a guy who's a huge star, even that they drafted. But I got to dive into that one day, because I don't know that Jeff Ireland is particularly worse than anybody else. I think the big difference, between the Dolphins for the last however many years and everybody else was the quarterback, and they didn't get the QB play. And in today's NFL, we all know this. We watch the games. You got to be able to wing it. You got to have the quarterback that can go out there and do all that kind of stuff. And if you don't, you're screwed. Like, if you don't have the quarterback, you're screwed. And I think the Dolphins think that they finally probably have the quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. And it's only 1 year, and hey, you never know. There could be a sophomore slump or whatever. But they got him a lot of help this year. And I think that they got to be feeling pretty good about the quarterback position, which is going to go out there and allow them to, work on other stuff. And I don't think Jeff Ireland, I guess to answer your question, I don't think his job hangs in the balance of Michael Agnew or anybody else to be drafted.
I hope not, for his sake.
Fair enough. I think it hangs in the balance of how many games they win this year. And I think if they have a good season and everybody feels like, all right, this thing is still pointed in the right direction and all that kind of stuff, I think he'll be good for another year.
The focal point, Jesse, of last season was Ryan Tannehill. If he was going to be the future of the franchise, then it would be a positive season. If it looked like if he was going to flail out or just be mediocre like Chad Henne was, then it was going to be a failure. Is this sort of the same thing for the next 3 years? The success of the Dolphins season, whether they go to the playoffs or not, is based on Tannehill's progression?
Probably to a certain extent, yeah. And it's really easy if he gets off to a slow start this year, it'll be really easy to be like, it's Chad Henne all over again. And if he gets off to a fast start, there are going to be people equally sort of overreactionary saying, all right, we finally got our Marino. Yeah, right. Look at Cam Newton last year. Cam Newton had an unbelievable rookie season 2 years ago, right? You were like, holy crap, this guy is changing pro football. He's just dominating. He's great. And he goes out last year, and he was absolutely terrible until week 12, week 13, and then he kind of, balanced himself out a little bit down the stretch. But he was brutal early last year and in the middle part of last year. Not just like not great. He was bad.
Yeah, it was terrible.
He was hurting the Carolina Panthers. So who knows which Cam Newton you get in year 3. But I think year 3 is sort of when it's put up or shut up for a young quarterback, especially now when these guys get the opportunity to come in and start right away for the most part. So this year is going to be really interesting. And I don't know what to expect with Ryan Tannehill. Look, they're putting it on him, though. They're saying, here's Mike Wallace. Here's Dustin Keller. Here's Brian Hartline. Here's hopefully a good offensive line and running game. go out there and get it done. And if the offensive line is adequate enough and the running game is adequate enough, there's going to be not a lot of excuses for Ryan Tannehill other than, hey, it's only his second year and all that kind of stuff. But no, I think you're probably right at the end of the day. So much of the year is going to be based upon, how he looks, and if you really do feel confident moving forward that, all right, this guy's the future.
And on that same note, given that there's so much riding on Tannehill and his development, don't you think that strengthening up a little bit more with someone like Austin in the draft or Eifert in the draft would really give him the tools that he would need?
Yep. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're going to do it, and I might be an idiot.
This
But
game's
I would
about
love to see
scoring.
that.
This game's about scoring. I think if you put out a halfway decent defense, you don't have to put out top
Get
5
ready
defense.
for
But if you put up a
Mateo.
defense, no.
I agree. I don't think you need a top 5 defense. I think you need to be able to score some points
Yep.
and not be Swiss cheese on defense.
Exactly.
I'm not worried about this defense. They're really good defense when all is said and done. They're top red zone defense in the NFL last year. They were one of the top scoring defenses. The only thing you can say bad really about the defense is that they didn't, and this goes back a couple of years, not just last year, they didn't make those game-changing plays.
Yeah.
There wasn't the huge interceptions and the huge fumbles that either made it really easy for the offense or put points directly on the board and that swung the momentum of the game. They were very, very solid. They stopped you. They didn't let you in the end zone more often than not, but they didn't change the game. So hopefully that is something the defense can do. But, yeah, man, score points.
Score
Give me
points.
Trayvon Austin.
Yep.
Give me Tyler Eifert, whoever it is. Give the kid another couple of tools. Now, another person might counter that and say, give him a big offensive tackle so that he's got time to throw to Mike Wallace streaking down the sidelines for 45, 50 yards, which is a fair argument. It's not as much fun to talk about, though.
Right.
Yeah, but again, with the number of picks they have as early as they have them, I think they should be able to fill those voids. So at least a tackle, a tight end, and another receiver should be something that's doable with those picks early on.
Does that mean you don't trust Agnew?
Yeah, I trust him to.
Well, Jesse, thanks for coming on. A couple more questions before you get out of here. Really appreciate you coming on the show with us. I know you are a well, George, you go first then.
Well, it's not really a question. It's I could not agree with you more. I've made the argument in the past whatever years Marino hasn't played. The biggest difference, especially today in the NFL, it's a quarterback. I mean, you were talking about the Dolphins' defense. Brady went to the Super Bowl with the worst defense in the league, and I also agree with you 100% that it's all about winning. If I don't care if he drafts the devil, if they don't win, he's not going to be here. And not only not going to be here, he's not going to do anything anywhere. And that's the way it is. The league is all about winning, and that's what we care about. We don't care who gets drafted, who didn't make the cut, who didn't get there, and who didn't do anything. We only care about winning. That's the bottom line.
And I think he knows that as well as anybody.
Yeah.
And that's why, he's not worried about, Michael Agnew. And, hey,
Yeah.
if Michael Agnew turns into a football player this summer,
Fine.
great.
Yeah.
And it'll be a nice,
Yeah.
bonus in addition to the whole thing.
Yeah.
But he's not worried about that.
No.
He's worried about making it as good as possible, as easy as possible for Ryan Tannehill, loading up the defense with as many guys as he can that can hopefully change games. And then, I think, if you're the general manager to a certain extent, it's like, all right, I'm here in handing it over to my coaching staff, and we'll see what they do.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Jesse, last question before you get out of here again. Thanks again for coming on. You're a huge uniform nerd, jersey nerd. How do you like it? Leaked out today. I know the official release is on Thursday. How do you like the look?
It's funny because for all the pandemonium when the logo leaked out and it's so different and everything like that, the jerseys themselves don't look that different.
No.
I like the shades of the aqua and the orange better.
Orange? There was orange in there? I didn't see it.
Yeah, there was some orange. It's kind of small, but that would be one of my main complaints, I guess, is there's not a lot of orange. And, I like the orange, but I like the number font a lot. I think it's sort of modern and cool without being obnoxious, which is neat. Like, I think the Jaguars number font is, like, super obnoxious. It's, like, hard to read, and it's just a little bit too, like, I don't know, like robot alien or whatever. But I really like the number font. I think it's modern but, like, elegant also at the same time. I like the shade of the colors, like I said. I think the white-on-white look was super clean. I mean, when you got the white helmet with the white face mask and the white jerseys and the white pants, it's pretty cool looking. So, but there's nothing radical about them. You know, I mean, the jerseys are pretty straightforward. There's no crazy piping and no crazy sleeves. You know, nothing like what Seattle did last year. So it's pretty inoffensive. I think I think to a lot of casual fans, maybe with the exception of the helmet, if they just saw the jersey hanging in the stores, they probably wouldn't notice that huge of a difference.
Well, Jesse, thanks again for coming on with us. Are you ready? Are you ready for Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Because you're going to be nonstop for 3 days.
Almost ready.
Well, thanks again, Jesse, for coming on with us, and I'll be there on Thursday with you guys, so I look forward to that.
Nice, man. Looking forward to it. We'll have fun.
All right, Jesse.
All right, thanks,
again.
Jesse.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jesse.
Anytime, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it. That was Jesse Agler, voice of the Finsiders. Did he persuade any of you? I know you were. Yes, man. You were.
I agree with them. I do.
I know. You said it multiple
He
times.
persuaded me on what?
I'm asking, did he persuade you in anything? Because I know he persuaded Jorge in a bunch of stuff.
No, I mean, he didn't.
Talking to the mic, buddy. We're still on the air.
Oh, I'm sorry, very, very sorry. I don't agree with him about the tax, but he's right. It's my opinion against his, and that's why they put it out to vote. And you live in Broward County, but also, and you too, but Alan and I would make a decision based on that, and he may vote for it. It's going to be open. Everything else he said, I've said it here.
Yeah.
It don't matter who Ireland picks, man. If they win, they win. If they don't, he's out. Period.
You know what? I think his pick. I think the picks matter a little bit more than that. I think you go 8-8, and he may get fired. He may not get fired. If he goes 8-8 and he's got guys that look like they're going to be able to play, he may not get fired.
Well, no.
But if his draft choices bomb out and they're 8-8, he's done. And so I think the draft choices hold a little bit more water than what Jesse gave.
For this year.
For this year,
I would have to say maybe. I think the core of players that he's getting right now and the team he's putting together is really all veterans. So he's going to. If I was him, you know what I would choose, and everybody would be pissed. I would get a guard on the first round if I was in his shoes. No. If I was in his shoes,
That's
and
not
I was
me.
about.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you've been breathing through the mic the whole night tonight.
It sounded like he was snoring. If that's a safe choice, 1, 2, it's going to really help the team.
You want to help the team? Take a tackle, take a guard, and then you take
Right.
a receiver.
Well,
Or a tight
they're
end.
looking to get a tackle now with
Take
this trade.
Take a tackle, take a guard, and take a tight end, and now you've
Oh,
solved
but
the
it's
problem.
so boring.
It is. It's horrifically boring.
It is.
It's not
It's
what I want to
so
see.
boring.
I want to see Tavon Austin in the slot. For
Yeah.
this
But
team.
he just
That's what I wanna
made a
see.
good point about the picks being safe. Depending on how his picks do, if they go 8-8, it may not cost them the job. If I was him, and I know that, I would not go for a receiver. I would not go for a linebacker. I'll go for a couple of offensive guards.
That can't miss prospects.
Yeah.
Why?
To save
Because
your job.
no, it saved your job. You drafted Jake Long first overall. Where is he now?
Yeah.
By the way,
That's the safe pick.
no one in the 2008 draft class is on our team. No one we
Give me a
drafted.
break, man.
And we're looking to trade to get the 15th pick in that draft to replace Jake Long for more money than Jake Long got.
As the number one.
And a second-round pick to go with it.
Jake wasn't playing too well in the last 2 years,
And
man.
this guy's not any better than him.
I don't know.
And he
I don't
wants
know that.
more money. We made a stand. We're not paying him that money. So instead, we're going to trade for a guy and add a second round pick.
unknown.
That can't happen. And I don't care if it's Jeff or Steve or Mike D or Jesse Agler. That can't happen. You cannot bring Albert in here now and pay him what you weren't willing to pay
Jake Long.
Jake Long
By the
to
way-
stay.
By the way, is Jesse Agler Hispanic?
I don't think so. I think he's Jewish.
Oh.
Does it have to do with anything?
No, I'm just.
Oh,
You
okay.
disappointed? Or?
It's just one of those things.
Oh.
No, but I mean, it's just. And by the way, the I was talking with the guys out there before we started the show. The moves in the uniform are very soft and very neutral, just like the Dolphins have been for the last year and a half, or not actually the last 10 years. It's just been like, yeah, it's a new.
I don't care about the uniform.
I do.
It was.
I'm gonna buy it.
I think what Jesse said. I think if you look at the jersey, you're probably not going to notice a big difference. I mean, it would take a real fan. Your casual fan is not going to notice that there's a difference in the jersey. It's just not.
Well, Thursday it starts, and I'm sure we'll all be in contact with each other about Ted Ginn's who?
By the way, I didn't like the fact that you cut off my song because this dude was on.
Jesse Agler is the guy
I
that
don't
I
care
work,
about Jesse Agler.
man.
bro.
He's the guy I work with, and this guy's like quoting scriptures. We're uncomfortable.
Really? Because the song is about God.
Sure it is. We'll go to break. We'll come back. We'll talk. We'll finally get into Game of Thrones. A whole segment.
Oh, that was a good episode.
Grandma
hey,
Tyrell.
We will.
It was
wait
a
a
good
second.
episode.
Save it.
It's not close to what's happening.
We'll go.
no.
We'll go to break. We'll come back. We'll talk Game of Thrones. We'll finish up the
Grandma
show
Tyrell.
with Come Mierda of the week, and I have just like a crisp top one for next segment.
Drop it.
Dracarys.
So we will go to break and we'll come right back.
Dracarys.
And now we play the Game of Thrones
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
with Chris
Cut off his manhood and feed it to the goats.
There are no goats, house man.
We'll make do.
Carlos,
Bow before your king. Bow, you shits.
Alan,
You're gonna say something clever. Go on, say something clever.
and George.
Has anyone ever told you you're as boring as you are ugly?
It's got all the action, dragons, and naked chicks you can handle.
Winter is coming.
All right, finally, we finally get into Game of Thrones and start it. I mean, first of all, what'd you guys think of the intro?
I like it.
I'm gonna adjust it. I mean, I've been waiting to play this one before I add the new audio from the past episodes, but
We'll make do.
exactly, he's
Hey,
the best.
Let me tell I'm not ugly, bro.
Well, if who's talking is involved, then you're Jamie, the prettiest man with one hand in all the land.
Oh,
Yes, he does.
one hand.
God, that was such a
What
great
did they
ending.
do
That
to
freaked
him?
me out, bro.
What did they do to poor Jamie?
And I actually, they cut off his
Oh,
hand,
God.
bro. The first thing I'm thinking is, let me see.
He's
Oh my
scared
God, it's his right hand. It's the
Yeah.
first thing I thought.
Right.
That was good. It's a good twist.
All right, so they cut to the chase really. All right, so we went to through 4 episodes. It started off, I called them episodes because they were just like you said, Carlos. They've just been gathering all the information, putting everything into the pot. And the end of this past episode, when what's her name?
Daenerys.
Khaleesi, yeah, Daenerys.
Daenerys.
She gathers her army. She doesn't lose her dragon because that was a fear.
Ah,
I never.
fear.
Yeah. By the way, I never bought into the fact that she was
Me
going
either.
to give him away for free.
That's
Never.
what Delsa kept saying. I can't believe she's giving her dragon away, and I kept just
No.
I knew, so
Nah.
I just
I knew from the. I was like,
Well,
there's no way she's
that you
gonna
knew.
do
No.
It's just inconceivable that the dragon would not find its way back to
Yeah,
her, even
yeah,
if she had
yeah.
left it there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the hell does it matter? The dragon was going to do something for her.
Right.
That was the obvious one. Now that she got the loyalty of the nippleless soldiers of doom, that was impressive, and that I think shows a lot of her character dynamic. where
unsullied.
she's ruthless, but still compassionate, and she managed to get a bunch of nobodies. Like they have no souls apparently,
Yeah.
and they're now loyal to her, for her, not just because she has that creepy ass whip thing.
No, she let it. She dropped it.
Yeah, she got rid of it,
She
and it was
dropped
great
it.
symbolism. They're just walking over it, like I don't need your slave.
They're
shit.
free.
And
They're
she basically the 2 guys that she's running with. I can't. I gotta.
It's
Whatever.
Yeah, the
I'm
2
trying
of
to-
them
it's
that they're running
Mormont
with. We all know who
and
they are.
the original
Whatever.
gold cloak from the beginning of the first season.
The 2 dudes.
She basically put them in their place multiple times.
Yeah.
Earlier, the guy that was with her in the very beginning, he was watching out for her throughout the whole team to the point where he loved her. He's like, "No, don't do this." She jumps into the fire. No, don't do this. And she gets her dragons back. You know, when he was going to the spire. Same thing. Don't give your dragon away. Oh, well, guess what?
I gave
I'm
it
gonna
away
get
and
my
get it back.
yeah, and I'm gonna get the army. And he's like, "Don't get an army. You need them to be loyal to you." And then she's like, "Oh, you really? Watch this, bitch. You guys are loyal. You want to follow me?" And they all were
You're all
beating,
free.
yeah, beating their sticks in the
Did you
ground.
see
and
his
they
face? You see both their faces when that started to
a
happen.
different set of
Yeah.
words for that.
all beating their sticks. In the ground. Well, she could ask him to do that, and they would do
No,
it anyway.
absolutely.
Okay, so let me ask you this: I still don't. Is she a good guy or a bad guy?
I think
She's good.
because of the potential
she's
has,
good. She's gonna conquer.
Yeah. Well, no, she's coming to conquer, but I think if you start forecasting the storylines and don't you move your head,
Yeah,
Carlos?
I don't want you. I don't want you.
No, I almost
acknowledging
want you to turn
anything-
around.
no.
There's so many storylines heading, and the looming threat is the North.
Right.
and the White Walker's coming down. And I'm suspicious. You now have a warg in the Starks and someone with sight. You have a Stark tied to this Brotherhood as well as the Faceless Assassins. And then you have dragons coming, which would be the absolute ultimate weapons against these damn White Walkers. So I see that kind of heading there. She might end up coming with this ridiculous army and being the savior as the North comes down. Shush you. Shush.
I'm thinking of a joke.
Yeah, sure you are. No, but you're right. I mean,
like you see, and then you have all the complex shit going on in King's Landing with my new second favorite character, La Vieja Terrell.
She's awesome.
God, she's wonderful.
She's awesome. Her face is too pushed forward, but she's
that's
awesome.
that headgear they keep putting her old face
She is
in.
ruthlessly smooth. There's no fear, yet she invokes terror in people.
What's the line she gave to Varys? What happens when the non-existent hits the decrepit? And I paused it. I looked at the friend I'm watching the episode with, and he's just staring at me. And we just started laughing for a good 5 minutes.
Much like Varius was staring at her. It was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Damn, you've got me.
She does look like Chad Henney, though. Remember his face mask didn't fit through properly?
Yes,
it was coming through the front of it.
Because he has such a huge head.
Yeah, exactly. So you sort of see the dragons coming from, from out there, coming to Westeros, and the people from the north, the White Walkers. The only way you can kill them is by fire.
Yeah.
So you can sort of see that happening, but I still don't. I feel like she wouldn't give up the North. Maybe she would. Maybe she would make a peace treaty with Jon.
She might come back, and as I see
Robb.
it, return to how things were with her ruling the kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see the North leaving any of this unscathed. I don't think they survive well until she gets there. I think Bran is the one that survives out of all of them.
I'll tell you, right now, the king, it's not the rightful king.
Oh,
okay, because he's not the son.
Joffrey?
Incest baby?
He's
Yeah.
not the son of the king. Okay. She has shown she's a leader. She has shown that she has mercy. She has shown
Her titties.
that she's strong. She has shown her titties. She's got dragons.
Woo!
I would think
go
at
back to
the
the
very end of the last episode, or the next to last episode, she becomes the queen. She marries somebody.
No,
Okay.
she doesn't marry nobody.
No, I think she does.
How
I
far,
think
how
she
far
does.
ahead are you projecting here?
Oh, but this
The
is
end.
like next season, yeah.
The end.
Of this season?
Well,
Or the
No,
end
no,
of
the
the
end of the end.
Here's the thing. You
The
got
end of the end.
Hopefully the end of the end is 10 years away.
the thing is, you got two legitimate
Well,
successors outside of Incest Baby. Because that asshole is, you have the bastard who's walking about with Arya, and then you have the brother.
How did the king, his father, come to power?
Oh, it was a rebellion. No, I'm aware, but the Targaryens have been thrown out. They're no longer the ruling house. So it should be a Baratheon. That's why Joffrey
I think they're
is
both
theoretically
equal.
there.
They're equal in claim, the daughter
Well,
and the bastard.
I mean,
well, they have to
and
fight
and
it
the,
out.
and the middle brother, the one that's with the red bitch.
Oh, Stannis?
Yeah.
I think Stannis is a broken, crazy old man.
He's got a
That's what I
role to
think.
play somewhere. He's got to, because she's going to be somewhere. And you know what? Since when did the Brotherhood without banners? Since when did they follow the light, the goddess of the light?
I
or
don't
whatever?
know, but the things that I wandered into something on IGN, and it references where they're from in season 1 and 2.
Mhm.
2, because they get referenced by name. But in 1, they're a group that gets sent after the mountain. After the mountain is terrorizing a region, that Ned sends them out, and then to go get Tywin. So if he doesn't come, he's a traitor to the land or whatever. And then, of course, Ned loses his head. So then they have no one, behind them. They become this no-banner brotherhood. I don't know where that religion of fire comes from. I know one of them. I don't remember if it's the dude with all the ugly scars on his face or the one-eyed guy. He's supposed to be real famous for fighting with a flamed sword, which I'm sure the Hound will really appreciate on Sunday.
Dondarrion?
Is the one-eyed guy, right?
Dondarrion.
Yeah, because one of the things I saw, I have the Blu-rays. You can go into the extra features and they'll play, based on certain characters, the history of events that happened prior. So you can hear about the Greyjoy Rebellion from Theon and his sister, from Robb, and from Stannis, to give you the background from all those perspectives. And they have it for a bunch of those events. And it's wonderful to watch because you start building the world behind season 1.
Right.
and it makes everything even better.
Well, just as a series, it's interesting how in the first 2 seasons, the people that are strong in this season are shit. Because Jamie is literally fighting in shit. He lost his hand. He wants to kill himself. He's drinking horse piss. Like that guy, he's
not by choice.
Well, it doesn't matter. He's still doing it. Like that guy went from one of the top swordsmen in all of the world. You know what I mean? And he's the king slayer and all that stuff. And now he's literally wallowing in feces and he's crying and the lesbian chick is the one that's picking him up like that.
She's not a lesbian. She likes guys.
She doesn't like guys.
She likes a gay guy.
Yeah, as much as Brittany Griner likes any other Tom. Okay, so he's down. The mom, I'm drawing a blank. Cersei
is
she's got no power.
God, she is. I'm telling you, and I kept seeing in the La Vieja, but Marjorie is playing the world
like a
My God,
fiddle.
her and her grandmother have been masters since they got there.
Yeah.
They're playing Sansa. They're playing Varys.
I love her. I love
She
the
can play.
wife.
She can play me anytime she wants.
Oh yeah. Renly, that bastard, wasted the opportunity.
Yeah, she's awesome. The way that she's able to placate to both being kind and the way that she's manipulating. She's
making him into a positive figure to the people.
She's layering Zonka like forearm to the forehead of Cersei.
She is the perfect queen.
Carlos.
She is the perfect queen.
Carlos, we don't need your opinion. This
No. The thing is, Carlos is too quiet, and I know he's itching.
I'm not enjoying
No.
this.
The
you're
thing
right.
is, don't talk about what's happening in the future. Talk about what's been happening. Don't talk about, because when we say this is what I think is going to happen, you already know.
Right. So
None
I'm
of
not
us
saying
know.
anything.
Okay.
Right. That's why
So,
I'm
but you
quiet.
can talk about the episode that just happened, and you can say, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening. What a great scene this is."
Oh, he can't believe
But I
what's
can
happening
because I know what happens.
because you know what happens.
For you, it just turns into quality of acting and how well they do the scene.
Yeah.
It's very well done. It's very well done.
I think
I'm
this
enjoying
one,
it.
I think this is one of the few times that I've watched something on TV based on a book that I haven't read, and it's weird because in one hand I'm dying to read the books. On the other hand, if I read the books, I would not be interested in the story anymore because it's happened to me before.
Do it the other way around though, and you'll enjoy it. And that's what I did. I watched season 1 and 2, and then I read all the books. Even though I got ahead of myself, but it developed so much better.
How many books you've read so far?
4.
4? Is there another one coming?
There's another one.
And how many is the series? 6?
I don't know.
5?
Right now it's 4. There's another one that's coming out.
Well, no. My point.
I don't know. I don't know what the end of the series is.
Okay.
I don't know if it's 4, 5, 6, 7 books. I don't know where it ends.
Because he hasn't said.
He hasn't said. Not that I know of.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch it. They did a series on a book I read. HBO did the Pillars of the Earth, and I started watching, and I was like, this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it.
The bulk of the difference the book takes a lot longer to develop, and it evolves, and the characters evolve, and all the scenes that you end up seeing as a scene on television were 17 chapters in a book. So there's a lot more detail in the book,
right?
But you see it and you pick it up in the movie aspect or the show aspect, and it really it does fit well. I mean, like I've told you before, the television series is very, very well done.
Well, the fact that you were saying about all these episodes this season so far, that they're putting it in a basket. Like when you read a book,
right?
When you start reading a book, you may read, if the book has 400 pages, you may read 150 pages of 4 different stories.
Right, a setup.
Yeah, So yeah, I'm sure it's good,
and that's what I'm seeing now. Where we're at now. I mean, week 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I mean it's going to blow.
Seeing all the paths.
It's going to blow you. It's going to blow you away.
And like to continue to that point though, Tyrion, he was a gangster, and now Tyrion ain't nothing.
God, that poor little guy.
He can't get.
I wouldn't say poor little guy, but okay.
Okay, rich little guy. That was a great line too that he had with Baelish.
Yeah,
he's like, "That I would only work if I'm richer than you." Well, you are richer than me. You're right. You're right. You're right. And he just walks out.
What's up with his with the hand boy? The one that saved his
Oh
wife?
my god, that guy must be a porn star.
He's got a golden penis.
What
is
the
that?
hell?
What is that? And the thing is, they brought it up again in this episode.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah.
What is that, man?
Yeah, you get the feeling he's gonna be a bargaining chip. He's gonna walk in like Tyrion wants spies, and Podrick is paying for it.
Podrick. What a great name, Podrick.
He's got such a goofy face. Podrick, would it be too much for you to save me more than once this week? And he's like, yeah, fine.
It's spectacular that they don't even want to charge him for the
I know
time.
that they're giving it back,
But
right?
do you see how fast?
At first, I
him and
didn't understand. At first, I'm like, well, what do you mean? It must have been a gift or something, or they were like spies or something.
I thought Littlefinger would give it to him.
Right.
You know, as a gift.
No, that guy's too much.
But
of an
I guess
asshole.
not.
But do you see how fast Tyrion and Bronn just like pulled up chairs and got wine? They're like,
Oh,
okay,
for sure.
details now.
Even the eunuch's like, go on. Like when he was talking to the redhead, he's like, oh.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, that guy has a dark side. Did you see it when he was opening up the box?
Yeah.
See what he's got in the box?
Holy shit!
He's got a
dark
long,
side.
long lost friend in the box.
A dark side. Wouldn't you have him in the box too if he cut off your balls?
That's true, man. That's true.
The hell?
That guy's got true. I mean, it's so interesting. The grandma, when he walks up to her and he goes, "There's a spider in the garden." Like they're just they realize how much power both of them have, or all the players in this game has, and it's interesting to see. Man,
It's the chess game.
they
The
know
chess game.
exactly what they're going up against.
But you know what it's like when you watch when the show is starting, and all the puzzle pieces are popping up, and the cities and are all being made. You see all the gears switching, and it's basically that's the way the actual show is going. It's a metaphor for the show.
That's true.
Because all these people they're just positioning themselves. I mean, she said it. You know, girls, time to go. There's a spider in the garden.
Yeah. And again, also, even though the Night's Watch wasn't really that strong, they were a lot stronger in the first 2 seasons than now. They're just a bunch of
And they were supposed to represent. They were supposed to represent an ancient order, something always there.
Yeah.
And they just went to shit so fast.
I was so
They're hungry, bro.
Oh, dude, I was so upset
Hungry, tired,
when
and
he
cold.
killed the commander.
How? Okay.
What the fuck,
Okay.
man?
2 things happened with me with that one. One, because I knew the title of the episode. When they were burning the first one and they said his watch has ended, I looked over because I was with Jason. And I said, oh, no. Oh, one of them is dying. One of the crows are dying. So I knew immediately someone was going down. But then to watch Mormont die, but just bitch choke that one guy until everything gave out, I was so damn impressed.
I was
like,
I was hoping. Even though I knew better, I was hoping for like an extra 10 seconds of
please
life.
get the crack in before you go.
Yeah.
Come on.
He didn't get to that.
I can't believe that. So all the people that had true power in the first 2 seasons, they're losing their power in the third season.
Steadily.
Yeah, and so
Well, even the queen.
even the queen, yeah, the queen, the Hound, like all those guys,
And
like
we keep getting more and more interesting characters to add on that. Not just La Vieja.
That queen is
but
so beautiful.
everyone in the Brotherhood, the 3 main guys,
Yeah.
look so interesting. The uncle from the Tullys.
yeah,
That old man seems like he's such a badass.
yeah.
The Blackfish.
Mm-hmm.
And I know nothing about him, but I want to from just like one scene.
No.
And we're going to keep getting that shit just more and more. We don't know anything about Dorne or
Mm-hmm.
old Valeria. We don't know. And look, I'm assuming they come into play somewhere along the line.
Yeah. Well, even the kid that's with Bronn up in the north. That kid.
Oh, yeah,
with
the
the
Reeds.
sister.
Who is he?
The Reeds. They're from a lower house in the north.
But the kid could read. I mean,
He has the sight just like Bronn.
yeah.
Well, Bran, but he's, I guess, refined it farther, so he's able to go into
Well, he's
Bran's.
older.
Well, he is older. He probably was more aware of it earlier.
And
But-
you get to see what they get to be like with the people with the free.
Yeah, the guy
people.
in the Free People, the warg who was in the Falcon,
Yeah.
which makes the dragons appearing ever interesting. If Bran ever survives that long, I have no idea how. Or wait, you with the answers. Can he enter the mind of people?
Who's that?
Brandon.
Not yet.
But he will be able to, because imagine him taking
Can't
over
tell you
Hodor.
that.
No, man, don't say
No,
that.
because
Why
now,
would I ever say that?
because now I'm in my head thinking he's gonna enter Hodor, and this is gonna be a rampaging Hodor. Hodor. I swear to God, he's a Pokemon.
He'll beat him
He's
down.
a Pokemon. He just wears Bran as a backpack, saying his own name like a Pokemon.
Well, Game of Thrones is finally starting to pick up. I mean, it took us 3 episodes, but it is gonna happen.
It's on fire.
It's so good. I don't miss Walking Dead right now.
Yeah.
And I should because it was great. But
I sure as hell don't miss Walking Dead.
Well, you don't like Walking Dead.
That fight between the Hound and the guy with the eye patch, I don't want either of them to die.
Yeah.
I don't want the Hound to die.
Yeah,
the Hound is so awesome. Remember
The
when?
Hound is not going to die.
So what's gonna happen? They're both fighting to the death. The guy with the eye
The
patch
Hound
and
is
the
not
guy.
going to die.
Because he's so badass. The Hound is badass. I know he's evil and everything.
Well, that's
but
the thing. Unlike his
He is
brother,
not-
he's kind of bordering morality.
Yeah.
Where he does things that you go, coño, not a bad job. But at the same time, he has no remorse when he gets told to go kill the ginger kid.
Right.
So, whereas his brother, who's just a complete asshole, decapitating horses and sanctioning the burning rat bucket thing.
Yeah.
He's actually interesting in where he could go. Does he become part of the Brotherhood? Does he just stay there wallowing in shit like Jamie?
And the way that he talks is awesome. When he's like, "Fuck the king, fuck the crown," and then he's like, "What are you doing with the stock, bitch?" The way he talks is awesome, man. Carlos, I mean, you got to say something. I know you've just been monitoring what we've been saying.
No, I'm being very careful. Last thing I want to do is ruin the next episode or episode 9 for you.
Right.
So I think I'll start measuring what I can say and start planning my conversation so I can
because
I can keep them within the context of what we're talking about.
This is the first Game of Thrones segment that we've officially been able to have.
Right.
And starting next week, we'll keep on going on with it. And Game of Thrones will just keep on feeding us this awesome material. So
And let's not forget, we're also running into the summer movie time.
Oh,
so as we're hitting Game of Thrones, we're gonna get Man of Steel, Iron Man,
yep.
Thor, Dark World. All that's coming out too.
Has anybody watched any episodes of the Vikings?
I have them recorded.
No.
Okay.
I have them recorded because I intend. But what ends up happening for me is that I have like 2 other shows at the same time, so it's like awfully recorded. Some days I have to record like on a Monday. Some days it's a different day. It's really weird because had been watching Bar Rescue this whole time.
It's on demand.
Nah, better.
History Channel on demand.
I'll watch
They're
it.
about 41 to 51 minutes, depending on which episode. The last one actually was 61 minutes.
Who's your provider?
Comcast.
I just went Comcast. Is it Comcast? Infinity.
Yeah,
same
Xfinity.
thing.
Xfinity.
I just went to them Sunday. They're coming to install.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You've
you
improved.
can go to on demand and watch. Go to by channel and find History
Look,
Channel.
I
Watch them all.
paid.
It's really good. It's not on
I'll
par
watch
with it's not on par with Game of Thrones, but
Right.
it gives you
Yeah,
a
but
really
it's
good feeling.
It's a History Channel show, so
Right.
you're not. You really. If you're expecting that, there's something wrong with you.
I would love to see somebody pick it up, someone like that would turn it into something. I think it's a fascinating period of time.
My second show right now is Mad Men. I love Mad Men. I can't believe HBO turned down Mad Men to watch it, but AMC's got it and they do a fantastic job.
Is it
That's
still
like
on?
The second, yeah.
Still on?
The second season just started the week after Walking Dead.
Yeah, it replaced Walking Dead's time
okay.
time slot, right?
Yeah, and then once this is done, Breaking Bad is gonna pick it up. So AMC's got us throughout the whole year, which is awesome.
I really
Love
should
it.
get into Breaking Bad. I hear so many good things, and I just
It's-
never get around to it.
It's very watch worthy. Okay, we've gotta get this show on the ends pretty soon. Anything else? You guys want to talk golf? I mean, the Masters happened, and a Chinese kid got a stroke. A black guy got a stroke. 2 strokes, or
No, he cheated, so he deserved what he got.
What do you mean a Chinese kid got a stroke?
Yeah,
there was.
he didn't have a
14-year-old.
stroke.
he didn't have a
Yeah.
stroke.
He got penalized.
He got penalized a stroke.
The young kid, the 14-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for playing too slow.
Yeah.
Come on, George. Even I know that.
No. I thought we were
Can
talking
you
about a
imagine,
stroke.
Alan? Can you imagine how boring that is? Playing too slow in golf.
I was
Oh
I,
my
I was
God.
I was once chastised by the ranger at what course was I on? Here's the funny thing. You're gonna laugh hard. I was playing at Century Village.
That is funny.
I was playing at Century Village, and I went there to play. I was by myself. There was another guy that wanted to play. I didn't want to play with anybody, so I waited for him to leave, and then I got my own cart, and I played on myself. And the ranger came by and said, "Hey, you got to speed it up. You got people behind you," because I let 2 or 3 people play ahead of me.
Right.
But I was just playing real slow.
Right.
I was on my own. On your own, you should be able to play fast, and I wasn't. So in Century Village, on the Century Village golf course,
That's pretty bad.
with the old guys, the 77-year-olds over there waving his club. Hey!
I mean, Tiger got penalized 2 stroke, deservedly so, and then he got unlucky and hit the pin. And before he got penalized, because if not, it wouldn't happen.
Right.
He hit the pin and went in the water. I mean, I think if that sequence of event didn't happen, I think he would have won the Masters. Period. That's what I think.
Shouldn't he ethically have disqualified himself? Ethically speaking, not by rule. Not by rule.
No.
Well, that's the thing.
Hold on. This is a total. Wait a minute. Remember what we're playing, though. We're not playing basketball. This is not football or baseball. This is golf, where you penalize yourself at all levels of this game.
Yeah.
You penalize. You monitor your own game. You are the referee and the judge. You penalize yourself a stroke, and you do it on to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't wait for somebody to apply it to you. He knew that what he did was illegal.
No, I don't think he did at the time he did it.
Yeah, the thing is that they
He's been
told
playing
him
golf longer than you and I have been alive.
No, but I mean,
to put the ball 1.5 yards, 2 yards back on purpose.
But I'm
and
telling
he said
you,
it. I did it because I wanted a better lie.
To me, the fact that even he said it, because nobody knew that he done anything wrong, even to me makes more sense that he didn't know what he was doing was wrong. Hey, you make mistakes. Do I think he should have disqualified himself? No, I think that's why the 2-stroke penalty is there for. In my opinion,
He signed an illegal card,
but
and he had an illegal drop. There were 6 players this year on tour up to now that have been disqualified from a tournament.
No, they have disqualified themselves
for signing illegal cards.
But the card was legal when he signed it. And,
right.
And didn't they have an official tell him it's okay when he signed it?
Right.
When he signed it, it was
right.
But again, he knew that what he did was an illegal move.
No, that's my point. I don't think he did, even when he was being interviewed, know that he had made a mistake. If he made a mistake and he did it on purpose, he's not going to tell the interviewer, yeah, I dropped it. He knows that what he's saying is wrong.
Yeah, he's a very calculating guy. That seems odd.
I really don't think these guys don't cheat. They don't. They make mistakes.
Right.
But they don't cheat.
Yeah, okay. But a mistake at that point, that when it all is hashed out, the next morning, there would have been nothing wrong with him coming back and saying, "I'm going to disqualify myself."
No, right.
And I think he would have elevated that vision of him being who he is. I think he could have improved his standings not only in the golf world but overall.
I don't think he cares. I
think he cares more than you think.
I don't think so. I really don't. I think if he cared, he would be a different type of person with the public, with everybody.
Remember, it's legacy, and I think he cares about his legacy. I think he cares about his legacy
I think his legacy is tarnished as it is right now.
Yes,
I mean,
and a little bit more, because I think this is not something that will be forgotten. They will talk about this for years to come, and in 5 years they'll still talk about it. And if he ever breaks had he won this tournament,
I would have loved it.
There would have been an asterisk by that name.
I would have loved it if he would have won.
Because if he'd have won it, and then he breaks Jack by 1, or he ties Jack, they would have gone back and said, but in 2013 he should have disqualified himself.
I would have loved it. Everybody would be like, the Negro got disqualified and he still won.
And he still won.
In other sports that people don't care about, Miami, they've won 2 games since the last time we had our show. I remember you said...
What team was that?
Hey, can we talk about
Marlins.
Can we talk about Walking Dead?
Wait a second. I remember when he said
the Marlins in golf has knocked the energy drink out of me.
when Carlos said they're gonna go the 1 game a week, they've beaten you by 1 so far. It's been 1 week and they've won 2 games.
2 games, okay.
So and now they're in the second of their doubleheader and they're up 5-3. But who knows how long that lasts?
They blew the first one. They can do that again.
Yeah. So I can't think of any better segue from the Marlins into our favorite segment, and to wrap up the final show of this week. Where are you?
Cricket.
Oh my gosh! Of course, leave it to the computer, man.
Find the domino sound or something.
Cricket.
Find the domino sound. Put it in the background of the music.
Man. This is unbelievable. Okay, here we go.
Really?
Can't believe this, man. The YouTube, we're gonna edit this out. I'm not even gonna let this play.
Dang, blasted technology. No, don't edit it out. This is wonderful.
You cannot let this ruin out.
Come on, man. Play for me. This is unbelievable.
This is transparency with our audience.
That's true.
They believe in us now because we're showing them how
That's
real we
true.
are. We're not the dudes, we make up to fix our blemishes.
Yeah.
None of that nonsense.
I will definitely be airbrushing my picture when we take that picture.
Come on.
You better
man,
hope they get
play
sent a
for
good
me.
picture to put you on Tywin's body,
Holy cow!
riding your horse of awesome.
Oh yeah, Mira, this is not working. We can't end the show without this. We
Well,
can't end
we're
the show
we're staying till we can.
without this. This is unbelievable.
You want me to
Throw some fill. You guys talk as I fix
You want me
this.
to go into
This is
the
unbelievable.
archive of sounds that I have?
No, you don't have to do that.
I have a salsa
I mean,
song.
Well, no. Oh, this is gonna work. Jorge, by the way, are you guys have your come mierdas ready?
I do.
Yes, I do.
No, the illness has knocked that out of my head. I know I had a good one. Stupid sickness.
Here we
And
go.
I wish today was Friday so I could use Jeff Ireland, but I can't.
Yeah, you can. You have the offensive line trade thing.
That was the
Hasn't
greatest.
happened yet.
That's the greatest release
know
of
it's
blue
coming.
balls ever. Yes.
What about blue balls?
Yeah, because I've been trying to release this sound on the show, but it wouldn't come out, and now it finally. You can bring it down. That's all I'm saying. Okay, who wants to start it off? Anybody? Because it's been long enough that we've been waiting.
Woo, I'll start it off. And we're just talking about the Florida Miami Marlins. Mr. David Sampson. Mr. Sampson, the arrogance of David Sampson. I mean, the Marlins are the epitome of contempt for their fans. The complete disrespect that this man, and I'm not even going to talk about Jeffrey Loria. This is just David Sampson himself. When he can come out and publicly make the comment and quote, "This payroll will not go up until attendance goes up." I mean, you have got to have some stones. For such a little guy, he must have some huge gonads. And for that, David Sampson is my come mierda of the week. Come mierda.
Alan, you want to go next?
That was good, bro.
I'm still working on it.
That was good.
I
I got a come mierda of the week.
Okay, Alan.
I had, unfortunately, since we didn't do the show, I was going to do these two crazy Russians up in Boston, but I changed my mind. I'm nominating for my come mierda of the week, my nephew, Chris. Why? Because he didn't let my son play. We had to listen to Barry White. We had to listen to Bruce Springsteen, but we could not listen to Ministry, a Cuban fellow man that plays heavy metal. Chris, you are my come mierda of the week. Come mierda.
I'm not even mad about that. Okay, my come mierda of the week goes for many reasons, but for this specific one and this specific time, my come mierda of the week is Justin Bieber. Now let me explain.
Explain.
Who's that?
Justin Bieber. He's the one that looks like a girl that your daughter likes. Anyway, Justin Bieber went on a trip out to Europe a few weeks back, around April 12th. Actually, not a few weeks back, last week. He visited some of the sites in Europe, the historic sites, and he went to the house where Anne Frank is from. Remember, we all know who Anne Frank is?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Justin Bieber said, let me find the quote.
We don't know who Bieber is, but we do know
who Anne Frank is. Okay, he said, and I quote, "Truly inspiring to be able to come here. Anne was a great girl. Hopefully, she would have been a believer."
Yeah, that's the term they use. Yeah.
So for that, I say, Justin Bieber, you're my come mierda of the week.
Come mierda. Believer that.
What? I'm sorry, man. You're gonna off the air. You're gonna have to explain.
No, we got this.
Anne Frank is a lady. What her story is.
A believer of what?
Belieber. Because his name is Bieber.
When his fans like him, he's a believer. So he said that Anne Frank, a great historical icon in all of humanity, she would have been a follower of his and a believer.
Got you.
Y por eso,
come mierda of the week. Got you.
Alan?
Screw it. I'm going with sleep deprivation. You're my come mierda. Come mierda. I got nothing in the tank, man. How I'm going to get home is going to be a miracle.
Oh, my gosh. All right. It's been a great show. We had Jesse on the show. No. I want to remember. I always got to try to end it on the trumpet solo. We had, by the way, I should have said this damn computer come in mierda. I can't believe it didn't start when I wanted to start.
That was great.
Anyway.
That better stay in the recording.
It will. I want to thank Jesse Agler for coming onto the show. I want to thank Defo and DefoRadio.com for having us. Hearts are still out there for Boston and everything that's been going on up there. The Dolphins draft on Thursday. The Heat, they're in the middle of their playoff run. And we will catch you guys next week. For Carlos, George, and Alan, I'm Chris. This is the Sports Table. Thanks for listening.
Dracarys.